Everybody, this is the Fiscal Court meeting for December the 18th, 2020. And before we get started, we have Reverend Jack Brewer here from the retired minister from the First United Methodist Church to lead us in prayer. Welcome, Mr. Brewer. Thank you so much for being here.
Are you ready?
We're ready.
All right, let us pray. Almighty God, I pray that you would hear the prayers of your people. We come into your presence, Lord, this morning at a time of great grief, fear, and concern. We're aware more than ever that we're inadequate to handle life's challenges. We need a word from you today. Particularly, Lord, we pray for our fiscal court, our judge. We pray, Lord, for our squires, our magistrates. We do remember Squire Sturgeon, Lord, what a wonderful leadership he provided in education, in the community service, and for his family. And we just miss him, Lord, and we pray for his family this day. We pray for all those who've lost loved ones this time, not only through COVID-19, but those who have passed away. We miss them, Lord, and we know that they'll be missed by their families. And it seems that there's a lot of fear in our hearts this day, Lord. And I'm reminded of what the psalmist said in Psalm 91, that we should not fear the terror of the night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that roams in the darkness, nor the plague that ravages at noon. And I pray you would deliver us from this pestilence and this plague that come upon us, particularly with COVID-19. Thank you for those who created a vaccine in such a short time. But still, Lord, there are many people who are struggling physically and financially. And I pray for our magistrates and our court as they decide today how to proceed to relieve the suffering of our community, to give a moment of hope to those who are in trouble, and also to make the decisions that at the end of the day, that we might not only be pleased what we have done, but also it might be pleasing in your sight. Give us discernment and guidance this day. We pray this and ask this in the name of the God of all people, of all nations, of all races, of all faiths, the one who loves us so much that he gave us at this time we call Christmas, the greatest gift of all, the gift of hope through Jesus Christ. I pray that in his name. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Brewer. Thank you so much. We appreciate you and all that you do for our community and those that are in need, and the Christ ministry. Thank you so much. God bless you and have a Merry Christmas. Okay. With that, I want to move into something very special to all of us. As Reverend Brewer said, we lost a very, very good friend, a person in our community that has done so much to help so many people in our community. We've put together a little montage of the work that our good friend Squire Don Sturgeon has done over the years here at the Fiscal Court, and I'd like Andrew at this time to present a tribute to Don Sturgeon. First of all, to the family, I want to apologize that the music didn't come through. Uh, As you can see, we did our best to pay tribute to a great friend, a great citizen of our community, and to you as a family. We pray for you, and we know that God will bless you. To Don Sturgeon, today I sit in this chair and I wear the blue and gold in your honor because the Flyers are playing in the state finals, and I know that you're there watching, and I know that you're going to do everything you can to bring them to victory. So go Flyers, and in the honor of you, Don Sturgeon, God bless you. I know that you're in a great place, and thank you so much for all that you've given to all of us. God bless you, Don Sturgeon, and thanks the family, Pam, Krista, and Ryan. God bless you as well. Thanks, Don Sturgeon, for everything. Thank you for loving our staff too. I want to say, I know the staff isn't going to get an opportunity on camera, but the staff loved you, Don Sturgeon, because you came in as many times as you could, and you were as good to them. You talked with them, you helped them, you listened to their concerns, and you were a great, great magistrate. So on behalf of all of us, to the family, to the friends, and to all of us in the community, thank you, Don Sturgeon, for what you have given all of us. God bless.
Here, here. Thank you, Don.
Okay. We've got some work on some wet eyes here for a second here. So let me pull this back together. Excuse me. Let's go to the next item. And we know at this time of year and through this pandemic that there are huge amounts of need in our community. Today, we're going to address a couple of them, and we're going to start with Marshall Jenkins, who's here representing the Capital City Activity Center and the great work that they're doing to help the needy in our community. Marshall, welcome, and we are going to give you $25,000 to help with your Meals on Wheels program. Marshall, thank you, and we welcome you.
Thank you so much. I'm so appreciative to Fiscal Court. You have supported the Senior Center always. I mean, you recognize the importance of the work that we do in trying to help all the seniors of Frankfort and Franklin County. So on behalf of all the seniors, I just come and just say thank you for recognizing that we're in need. We have already since mid-March, we're already served or delivered or done a drive-through service of over 70,000 meals. We were handing out shelf-stable meals along with the traditional lunch that we deliver early on. So because seniors were encouraged not to go out, and this was giving them an equivalent of 2 meals a day. But due to the funding, we had to stop that extra meal, but we really need to be doing now, especially during the winter. And because of the numbers are so great now, we need to be providing those extra meals to them. So that's what a lot of this money will go towards, is to help us try to feed them at least enough food for a couple of meals a day versus just one, because a lot of people don't have families to see to them, you know, and they don't have computers. They don't know how to work delivery service from either Walmart or Kroger, and we're it. So it's important right now. And I thank you. I'm so appreciative that all of you have recognized what a need this is.
And thank you, Marshall. Thank you, and to all your staff and everybody that puts this together. Thank you. God bless you.
Well, thank you. And I do want to give a shout out to the staff. We're very small. Only full-time staff is myself and 2 others. Everybody else is part-time, working about 4 hours a day. We've pulled off something pretty extraordinary, being able to deliver and provide these meals. I can say that we at times have out delivered Fayette County,
You have.
and we're the #1 in meal delivery in the Bluegrass region. That's 17 counties. So we could not do this without staff and really without the volunteers. People have really stepped up, and we went from 5 meal routes to 9 meal routes. And now we're also was called on Monday to help a fellow organization here in Frankfort. They weren't able to produce their lunches anymore due to someone contracting COVID. So they've asked us if we could help them with their meals. So that added additional 28 to what we're already doing every day for the next couple of weeks. So it's businesses and organizations coming together for the greater good. We're all working together. I'm sure you've seen on Facebook how folks have the generosity, the outpouring of time, donated items, and treasure. It's remarkable. That's what I love about Franklin County. Everybody, when the going gets tough, we all get together, no matter where we are, politically or anything like that. That all goes to the wayside, and I love that.
Thank you. And it's because people like you that is why we do that in our community. It's people pulling together, and you're one of those of the many that help pull us all together. Thank you again. And that's a great lead into the next segment, in that talking about a agency that pulls people together, that helps people. We have on the line Cindy Owens. Cindy, welcome from Resource Office of Social Ministries. We are delighted to give you $50,000 from the Franklin County Fiscal Court to help families that are in need in our community. Cindy, welcome, and talk a little bit about how you can use the money and what you're doing to help people.
Well, first I want to say how appreciative we are of every one of you and the work that you do. It cannot be easy trying to make the decisions that you all make, and we really appreciate you remembering us as we try to help people. As you know, evictions have started picking up, and by the end of the month, even COVID related, as we understand it, could be evicted. So we're getting a lot of requests for rent. We also are getting quite a few for utilities. You were good enough to give us first a bit of money. In less than a month, we've spent about 12% of that money, and we've helped 23 individuals with that so far. It's 9 families that has 9 children and 14 adults in total. And we're continuing that. The speed of spending that money is picking up. As you all know, Franklin Plant Board can begin cutoffs January 4th. So after Christmas, I anticipate we will get slammed with people that are in need. We welcome those requests. I've got 2 part-time people, 2 more part-time people coming on board after the first of the year to get them trained to help with the number of cases. Right now, we're all part-time, and it's me and 2 others. And the past week, we've had a volunteer come up and work every day. So we're really working. I just can't say enough. Thank yous to you, because without your support, there would be no money to help with these people. We do get contributions from churches and individuals. They have remained faithful, but as you know, the need has grown. So we really appreciate you. And if you ever have any questions about how we're doing things, what we're doing, feel free to pick up that phone and call me, because I'll be happy to talk to you.
Cindy, if you wouldn't mind, for the general public, will you tell the general public how they go about to, what is the process for someone to try to receive monies from Rosalind? How do they go about doing this?
Okay. Well, we are an extension of the churches and agencies. We are considered a ministry. So
We can't hear you, Cindy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is this any better?
Little. Go ahead.
I need to speak a little louder. We are an extension of the churches and agencies, and we take applications through the churches. So the client will contact, as you see on the screen, here's the West Frankfort churches. We also have East and downtown churches and agencies, and they will call this number on these scheduled days and ask to submit a login application. Our applications are on our website, so they can see what they're going to be asked. Also, you'll see on there, this is for utilities right now. We also do food, and we do rent and everything too. But that application comes to us, and we do all the reviews on it. We contact, if it's rent, the landlord or the provider for the utilities, and check on everything out. And then when we get a decision made, we give that to the churches or agencies, and they in turn work with the client. So that's the process. We do food orders, and those can be submitted one day. And if they're in by 12 o'clock one day, the churches and agencies can pick the food up the next day, and then the client comes to them to get the food.
Well, thank you. We're going to post the process on our website, on our Facebook page, and for people to look at. But most importantly, we're showing you right now that you go through the list of churches. You start with a church, and Cindy, if a church is not on here but would like to participate, how would they do that?
Just have them call me, and we will get them set up, and we will welcome them with open arms. Also, I need to ask a question, if it's okay. The money that we are working with right now, I understand, is for use for utilities. This $50,000 that you're granting to us, is that utilities only? My understanding from the draft agreement was both rent and utilities, but I want to make sure I've got that correct.
Cindy, I could not hear your question. You're not coming through very well. That is separate monies to help people in a different way other than utilities, unless if you run out of that and you need more, just let us know. We'll be happy to work with you for more monies in either way we go. Evictions, personal needs, essentials for home, as well as utilities.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Before we move on, I want to say this, that we've had, if you'll let me finish, Squire Tracy, 1 second. There are many of us that are working together as the squires. We've formed a committee to work together to come in to help people in another way, and that will be to help businesses. We're working on that, and hopefully sometime in January, early January, or we'll be able to have a plan together to help our businesses in the unincorporated area in Franklin County. So we're working on that plan as well. Squire Tracy, go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. Cindy, quick question. In reaching out to a couple of churches on the north end, they indicated that they support ROSM, but they are not listed on the list that has been put out publicly. How do they go about getting put on that list to where people know that they can reach out to those churches. I know on one of the water utility or one of the water companies that I have, I think there's 89 or 90 outstanding bills, but I don't think anyone has contacted them in regards to ROSM. I know the information was sent out, but just trying to make sure that those individuals are made aware that that the funds are there to help.
Yes. This list that you see of churches, these are the people that say, not only will we help the people in our church, but other churches can also refer people to us. And so that's why we share that list. So if they want to be on that list, just tell them to call me and I'll be happy to get them on there. We would welcome them. We do have a list of churches and agencies that they do work with us, but all they can handle is just what's in their home church or just what comes to their agency for their services. And so we don't put them on the list because they don't want people referring people to them, but they do want to work with their own. So they're not on the list because they're not, other people or really don't know, what they do or can't refer to them. But if they want to be on this list to let people refer to them too, I'm happy to put them on there. Just have them call.
Okay, thank you. Well, and I think we all know some may feel uncomfortable reaching out to another church or another group to ask for help. So, okay, thank you.
And too, some of our churches, you have to know, they participate financially, but they just don't have the staff. They're not big enough to work with the application. So it's not, we partner with the church any way they want to partner with us.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question, Squire Tracy and Cindy. Thank you for your information. So what we need to say publicly is go to your church first and see if your church is participating, because your church may be an exclusive for its members. But when we give money as a whole, like we're doing, we're giving it to the community. So we're advertising churches that are working with everybody and not exclusively with their parishioners. So start with your church, and then we'll move out if they're not participating. Great question, Squire Tracy. Thank you for clarifying that. And thank you, Cindy. Marshall and Cindy, God bless both of you. Thank you for what you're doing in helping all of us that are in need in our community. God bless you both. And if you need anything else, if there are any other, as time moves on, please let us know. And Marshall, if you wouldn't mind, and Cindy, you two, over time, come back and give us a report on how you're utilizing this money and how it's helping out as over time.
Sure will. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you all. And as I was talking earlier, we're wanting to help businesses. The next item on the agenda through executive order is I am suspending the 2020 alcohol license fees for restaurants, bars, and event venues impacted by COVID. And that extension will go through 2021. And that was also recommended and done by the governor, and the city is following suit as well. So the alcohol fees, if you've already paid them, you will not have to pay them in 2021. And that again is for restaurants, bars, and event venues. And this is a little bit of way that we can help you with your businesses. Squire Tracy.
Judge, quick question. What about catering companies?
So you
go ahead.
Squire Tracy, we do not license catering companies. That's not a license that the county is eligible to sell.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none. All right. Thanks, everybody. The next item on the agenda is I've done an amendment to our meeting and holiday schedule. I've amended 2 dates. And those dates are May the 14th a 9 o'clock meeting will be changed to May the 13th, a 5 o'clock meeting. And August the 13th, the 9 o'clock meeting will be changed to August 12th, a 5 o'clock meeting. And that coincides with some schedules that we were unaware of or wanted to accommodate. The next item on the agenda is authorization of approval of minutes from our regular meeting of December the 3rd, 2020. Any questions, concerns about that meeting? Seeing none, the next item on the agenda is authorization to approve a budget amendment to the county clerk's lump sum fee officials budget for the calendar year 2020. Mr. Hancock.
Hello, Judge. How are you, sir?
We're good. Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Hancock.
Thank you for having me. To the magistrates, good seeing you all this morning. I really hope that we spend 2021 a whole lot more of it in person and less of it on Zoom. I really want to see your faces, and I'm ready to be in a courtroom with you and be able to really talk about our budgets and stuff of that nature in person next year. So that's my hope for 2021. On this 2020 budget amendment, I think this is a budget amendment that will be very pleasing to you, being that I'm amending the amount of excess fees that we're bringing in at this point. When you start amending things in the upward direction of over a 50% increase, it's usually a pretty good year. I think there needs to be a little explanation on how we got there. And the reason I say that is it's probably concerning to the public and would be concerning to me if I were you guys, if we got all the way to this point and then I said, guess what? Look, I've got 50% more money than I told you I would have. There's a lot of reasons behind that. The majority of the reason is the fact that we've been dealing with COVID and we haven't been able to spend or get contractors in here to do some of the things that we wanted to do. We knew that the budget would be a tricky one for 2020 with the House bill, and I can't remember what the House bill was, but most of this money that you see is land records and recording fees that have increased. We have a document storage fee that, quite frankly, we just haven't had the opportunity to spend in 2020. We haven't been able to get the contractors in here, and we haven't been able to do the record retention that we were hoping to do. So most of this money has come back to you in that form. And we've also been very conservative. I believe that the Franklin County Clerk's Office does what we can to make sure we get the money back in your hands, get the money back where it needs to be, and get the money where it can be spent on the constituents in Franklin County. So I'll stop at this point and open to any questions that you guys may have. I'm sure you have questions on how we got here. The biggest thing that you might want to look at on one of the amended, and I talked to Susan about this, since you all pass a lump sum, I gave you an amended lump sum. But if you have any questions about any particular line items, I'll be glad to answer them. So, Lambert?
Squire Moore?
Yes, Jeff, are you ever going to be able to start taking cash again? With some help from the sheriff's office or the city police, I think you could get an escort to the bank every day. You think you could do that?
Well, Squire Moore, I tell you, as soon as we get to a point in Franklin County time and across the United States where people can come in my office without wearing a mask and without wearing a hood, and we can feel safe taking cash, we're all about it. We want to go back to normal times. We want to get back where people are comfortable. But right now, let's not add fuel to a fire that is already, I know it upsets people. I know if you want to know one thing I could change and get back to taking cash. It would be one of my number one objectives. But right now, it's just not the time. Everybody that walks in my office is masked, and they should be. I'm not saying they shouldn't be, but right now, it's just not the time. Let's wait until we can get into a healthier community, and you've got my word, Franklin County Clerk will start taking cash again.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir.
Squire Sebastian?
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Clerk, just a quick question for you and good morning. Should we anticipate document storage fees to increase by like a certain percentage and possibly level off at a certain point. Uh, just wondering how we might see that either go up or what cost we might anticipate there.
Squire Sebastian, we have had a record-setting land record year. More has happened through COVID than anyone would have ever guessed. I didn't budget these numbers anywhere close to what they actually turned out to be. And I apologize for that. I didn't know what we were getting into. I took the numbers that I could see superficially and tried to apply them to a 2020 budget, and they continued to increase, and they continued to be a good thing. I think 2020 has been a banner year. I think they will go down, not come up, but go down and level out over 2021, 22, 23. As long as they are absolutely 100% economically driven. If our housing market and it'll depend on what it does for 2021, 22, and so on and so forth.
Okay, that helps me. Also, do you know if those files are going to be compressed so that we can maximize that storage space? Do you know if they're compressed?
I don't know what you're asking me. I don't know what you mean by compressed.
So files have a size. Electronic files have a size, and so like on your phone, when you take a photo, you can either compress your photo to maximize storage space. Same with records and files. So I didn't know if the company we were working with was trying to maximize that by compressing the files so that our available storage space, which is my next question, if we're maximizing that, because that's what we want to do. You know, we want to get the biggest bang for our buck, and I'm certain that you are looking out for the taxpayers of Franklin County that way.
I can appreciate the question. I hope you can appreciate that I don't have a great answer for you. The KDLA, I follow all their rules and guidelines because we have to have 3 redundant backups. And I put all my faith in the company that does our imaging and our backups, that they're going to do what is legally required to keep us in statute and make sure that we have the 3 backups. We put everything out there for any company to bid on it that would want to, but we have been exclusively using the software company that we have had signed contract with.
And that helps me. I was also going to ask lastly about the backups, but you said that there's redundancies in the backups, and I'm assuming that they're probably off-site in multiple locations. So thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? All right, Jeff, thank you. And that's exciting news. We love it when you turn in more money in excess fees than you anticipated. That's great. That means 2 things. 1, that's very helpful to our budget, and 2, that means that the community is doing better than we anticipated. And so great news on both counts. Now let's go to the county clerk's lump sum fee officials budget for next year.
Yes, sir. As you'll see in the 2021 fee, I moved our excess fees from 423 to 503, 892. The one thing I'll tell you, and I sent the whole budget over, I tried to get as much out there as I could. I have a very large line item in there for record retention, for using the money to get everything digitally imaged and then get all the digital images available to any constituent in Franklin County. It's always been my goal. I've not hidden that. I've got 1 bid of $87,000 and then 2 bids that follow it for approximately the same amount of money to index and completely digital copy of every single record we have in Franklin County. I want to make sure that this is a priority for this year. It's a non-election year. It's when my staff has the time and ability to work with it. And I think it would be a great use of the money. That way we can continue to make sure we get everything digitally recorded and get it where it should be. The taxpayers, the builders, we need something. We want builders. We want people to want to come to Franklin County. We want our records to be accessible. We want them to be able to use them. We want to be friendly to all people. So that's my goal for 2021. I'm extremely happy that we were able to get the money, because some of that money was going to have to be diverted toward election equipment, but we got lucky enough to get that election equipment financed through a grant, and super excited for what 2021 brings.
Jeff, is that equipment in yet?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it all came in and everything?
Yes, sir.
Great, great. Any questions for, go ahead, Squire Tracy.
Jeff, quick question. Thanks for being here. In regards to the executive order that the judge declared in regards to the alcohol license fees, have you had a conversation? Would that affect the beer and liquor line item that you have? I know it's not much, but would it affect it in any way?
Absolutely. I didn't, and that was, it will, but not in a major, that is a pass through. I'm a pass through.
Okay.
We will have to amend this budget to reflect that, but that's very minor. We can get that taken care of quickly. And I can bring that in front of you in January.
Okay. I know
it's less than $6,000, Squire Tracy.
I'm just looking at the clerks. He's got 10 on his. So I'm just asking for clarification. And then, Jeff, you touched on real estate. What about automobile sales? How's that been for you?
It's been wonderful for 2020. I don't know what 2021 will bring. None of us do. None of us know what this economy is going to be. Our numbers, I will say this, our new car numbers have far exceeded what I thought we would do in 2020. But we have several renewals out there still for March, around 1,700 that haven't been done. My fear, and that's direct tax dollars to you guys, my fear is at 1,700. We're seeing all these excess fees that come in. That could affect next year. That could affect, because now not only is that person due for March, now they're going to come back around in 2021 and they're going to owe last year's and this year's taxes. That's a hard catch up, Squire Tracy. That's really hard on the public. They got a free ride for a while. Now catching back up with it could cost us in the 2021 budget.
Right. Thank you.
Any other questions, Squire Booth?
Thank you, Judge. Are we, the clerk's office, are they also imaging the historic records, the ones before the modern times, you might say? Because I know that's one place you can find those is the clerk's office. Are they imaging that too?
Absolutely. Squire Booth, that's where we were going with this. We want genealogists, we want researchers, we want anyone that wants to search a record. It's a public record. You know, we fall in the fault of when it's a public record, it should be readily available to the public. In 2020, proved to us that our records aren't readily available, and it's time to catch up with that. So yes, I'm going to try to get every deed. I'm going to get everything pertinent to historical value and to doing development all the way around.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Jeff, let's go to the next item, and that is authorization to approve the clerk's annual order setting maximum amount for deputies and assistants for the budget year 2021. Did you, the way it's written, I can't tell, did you include the 2% raise in there?
I did, absolutely. 2% raise across the board. I did go back in and I took a snapshot and looked at every single employee at the clerk's office to make sure that they followed the same guidelines, human resource guidelines at the county. We have one person that was dreadfully under it. She is a supervisor. She's been here now for 3 years. She was not hired as a supervisor. So we have one correction to make and to actually bring her up to where she needs to be, which is at supervisorial status. I'm embarrassed that we haven't done that at this point. So we only have one correction to make after we look through each and every one of them. It's been a very trying year, but I'm proud of that budget. I'm proud of what we've done, but that is included in that 2% as well.
Okay. Questions, court, on the maximum amount set for deputies and assistants? No questions? Okay. Jeff, thank you. That looks like that takes care of your budget, and we appreciate your good work. And most importantly, we appreciate your staff for all that they've gone through this year. It has not been easy. March was about the date the craziness started, and it hasn't gotten any better here in December. But there's hope in the future with vaccines, and that we can get back to normal at some time, hopefully in 2021. So thanks again to your staff, to you, for the great work that you all have done and the service that you provided to everybody in this community.
Thank you, Judge, and to the magistrates. I hope you have a very Merry Christmas. I look forward to 2021, and good luck to you, and I hope this meeting goes smooth for you.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to you and your family too, and all your staff. Thank you. Okay. The next item on the agenda, we're going to bring Chris and Lucas to authorization to approve the sheriff's lump sum fee officials budget for the calendar year 2021. Just for as Chris comes on, I do want the public to know that it's very interesting how it is set up in the state of Kentucky. The fiscal court is on a budget starting in July. The county clerk's office and the sheriff's office is on a budget that starts January the 1st. So that's why we're going through the clerk's budget and the sheriff's budget at this time. Sheriff, welcome. And let's talk about your lump sum fee budget.
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. I wanted to start off by saying we're excited that we've kept our commitments. We've stayed in our budget, and to date, we've had clean audits, and we paid all our bills, including payroll and state advancement, on time, just like we pledged to do. So we're excited about that, and we hope that we continue to do that. That's our goal.
Okay.
Our lump sum budget, you'll see an increase of about $30,000, and that's because we're asking for dash cams to be built into our budget for in-car cameras in the deputies' vehicles. I know that you all know how important it is, just like the public, and it protects the county and also shows transparency for the public. And right now, people are demanding that, police officers and deputies have cameras, and we were the first agency in our community to launch the body cams as the whole agency, and we all know that those have done very well. So we're excited to put our dash cams in, and they'll actually capture, as you're driving, and there's in-car cabin video when you have a prisoner or somebody that you're transporting. It also videos the back of the car as well. So that's the reason that you see the increase that we built in from our projections, and tax commissions will be increased. So you see an increase there, but it's for very important calls. And I think you all will agree that in-car cameras are important in this day and age.
Sheriff, let me ask you, well, let's stay on the dash cams for 1 second. And you're right, transparency is hugely important in this day and time. What is your policy on dash cams and how the officers will use them?
Well, since we don't have them yet, we'll have to create a policy just like we did with our body cams. But these cameras run. If the car is running, they'll be recording. So there's not a whole lot of room for error with these. And they also sync with our body cam. So, if a deputy's out of his car on a call, or and the car is out, say, in a parking lot, it'll be recording out there, as well as what, the interaction with the citizen or person that you're out with, say inside of a building or, you know, a residence.
And you had mentioned to me earlier that this 30,000 is a couple year, 2 or 3 year process, because we're buying them over several years. Is that correct?
That's right. There's no way for us to budget $150,000 in our budget and still operate as a fees office. So we only had a few options, and that was to set it up on a payment plan or come to you all and ask for the money. And I realize all the things you have going, fire trucks and election equipment, and there's a lot of big projects. So instead of coming and trying to burden the court, we realize all the things that you already do for us. So we just thought we would put them in our budget and try to buy them ourselves.
Okay. Are you're turning in, what is it, $4,151 in excess fees?
That's what budgeted for 21. We'll, you know, we hope that it's close to that, but there's a lot of projections and, you know, there's a lot of factors that you don't know, but as long as we don't overspend our budget, that's the thing about this. You know, if we had a $5, $6, $7 million budget, it really wouldn't matter if we didn't bring those fees and commission in. We couldn't spend the money because we pledged to stay within our budget. So we'll see where the excess fees goes, but the number one goal is to not overspend what we bring in.
Amen to that. Amen. All right, questions for the sheriff? Squire Muller.
Thank you, Judge. Sheriff, thanks for everything you do for our county. Question: have you been able to utilize much of the CARES Act money? I know that came up a couple meetings ago. I was just curious if that's helping you in any way.
I believe we've gotten around 18,000 of the CARES money for payroll when we work the testing sites. We partner with the state police in the city, and we always try to send out 1 or 2 deputies for traffic control so we can do our part. And those hours are billed back, and we are reimbursed by the CARES money. And also some of the hand sanitizer and masks that we bought, we've gotten our money back.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else? I think Squire Tracy, didn't you have your hand up before Squire Muller?
I was basically going to ask the same question in regards to the CARES Act money. Obviously, we hear that that money can be used towards salaries. I was just wondering if there would be possible to use some of that money towards salaries to free up the money per se for the dash cams.
He's got it in his budget to pay for the dash cams. That's why he decided to do it. So, I mean, that's.
So would it be easier to do that over 5 years? Or Sheriff, what's your monthly total for your deputies?
The payroll average is between 150 and 200,000 a month.
So would it be easier to pay a monthly total of salaries and then that money be recouped, and then that recouped money turn around and pay for the dash cams, and the dash cams would be paid for in full, and you wouldn't have a 5-year commitment of 30,000? I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, let me say this, and Susan, you chime in. We've already applied for the CARES money, so there you can't get that back on him. Susan, you want to elaborate on that, or Ann?
Good morning, Court. First of all, thank you, Sheriff Quire, for your financial integrity and your very responsible use of the court's money and the taxpayers' money, and the way you are handling your office. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
As far as the plan that we've not had a great discussion. I know the sheriff is very busy with his business, and as am I. And since he is so responsible, you take it for a lump sum and move on. I really wasn't aware of an installment plan I don't know what the terms of that installment plan are. If the court wants to look at savings and just carve that out of the sheriff's budget and pay and put it in the fiscal court budget, that would be Squire Tracy, if that's what you're suggesting, you would just move, that wouldn't have anything to do with salaries or anything else. You're just saying you want fiscal court to pay that cost directly. And the sheriff didn't ask that, but if you're volunteering to do that, then the court could look at that and using cash recovered funds, as Ann labels them, and appropriately so, recovered funds to pay for all the cameras up front. I would like to, just while I have the microphone, just point out that the law enforcement office for the county is an expensive proposition. It's definitely has its rewards for the community and safety, but it doesn't come without a financial cost. And it bears in mind that even though you don't have any turnover of excess fees, you do have additional costs approaching. In our budget this year, it's $1 million in benefits that the fiscal court budgets for benefits and overhead for the on top of the payroll costs. So it's worth keeping in mind that there's another component to the overall financial picture of countywide law enforcement.
Susan, with that being said, what would be your recommendation in regards to the dash cams? Finance it 5 years or use the recoup money to just pay it? What would be your recommendation?
I haven't seen the terms of the installment agreement. I don't know the percentage of interest that it costs, how much it adds on to the cost of the devices. As far as that goes, interest rates for savings are very, 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 very low. But if you want to borrow money, you still sometimes have to, and those kind of plans, you have to pay a premium. So, there's that would have to be weighed to see if there's a benefit there, as opposed to having a debt, a liability, which I did not really see that on. It wasn't listed on the liabilities portion of the 2021 budget proposal, Squire Tracy or Sheriff Choir. I don't see that dash cam liability listed. I guess because you haven't taken it on yet, because it's a separate court item. So it looks like court has on item number 9 in today's agenda. Is that Sheriff Choir? Is that the that digital ally?
That's right. Yes, ma'am.
Is that the dash cams you're talking about? And I didn't look at that item to examine the agreement.
Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. This is just a point of information. We've talked quite a bit about dash cams under this item. If I have questions about dash cams, am I to hold those until tab 9? I just want to make sure I'm asking in the right place.
Yeah, probably so. That's probably better.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Sheriff, let me ask you a question. This past year, and we're proud of it, that we built a building, and in that building, you're maintaining some of your vehicles, doing what you can to maintain, do maintenance on your vehicles. And I don't have in front of me what last year's maintenance budget was, but you've got vehicle maintenance, repairs, and registration, $83,000. Is that down some from last year?
We'll know at the end of December what we actually spent, but it's down some. But when you have 38 vehicles with 150,000 miles, you spend a lot of money. But our vehicles are safer than they've ever been. I mean, our fleet, even though they're high mileage, they're maintenance on a regular basis, and they have good tires and brakes and front ends. So, there may not be a lot of savings, but the cars are a lot safer, and we're keeping them going. You don't see them on the back of the rollbacks as often as we did in the beginning.
Yeah, okay, okay. If you could give us an update at some point in time, I'm curious to see if the savings, because it is a good building. I thought it was a great concept by you wanting to do this, and I'm hoping that if not this year, over time, it will be a great money saver too.
Yeah, that is the goal, that we get there. And, we're using that for gasoline powered evidence. So the fumes aren't affecting the personnel. When you put pressure washers and pool wheelers and all these things with gas in the basement, it just comes up through the floor and you have to smell it. So now we're able to store all that stuff in the building in a secured evidence room.
Yeah. Okay, good deal. Seeing no other questions, let's move on to the next item. Sheriff, this is authorization to approve your annual order setting the maximum amount for your deputies and assistants in the new budget.
Yeah, you'll see that the annual order went up. Let's see, it's up a little more than 2%, but we gave the cost of living raise, but you also have $18,000 for COVID and FEMA reimbursement. Last year or this year, we had to come back and do an amendment to put that line item in for the money that we received. We did that back in November. So we went ahead and built that in, and also our traffic grants went up just a little bit for our federal overtime, and you'll see those stats later on in the PowerPoint that Lucas is going to do.
Okay, you said you did include the 2% for all your employees?
Yes, there's a 2% raise, and the additional amount in the annual order was for the FEMA and the grant money that increased.
Okay. And Northcutt mentioned FEMA. Do you have any questions for the sheriff on that? Is she on there?
She's on vacation.
Oh, it's not on there. Okay. Susan, do you? Evidently not.
I'm here. The only comment that I would make regarding the annual order, again, that it is the budget process here is the methodology is you're taking the prior year's lump sum and then you're adding a flat 2%. That's pretty much the methodology. The methodology is not on what is actually being spent on payroll. The clerk's office, being more of an administrative office, it has the hours are dictated and given, so they use about 99%, if not 100%, of their annual order every year. On the other hand, with the sheriff's office, there are a lot of contingencies and cushion built in, so I would say that the growth in this annual order does still reflect quite a bit of cushion and contingency, and that my projections, and I'm sure that the sheriff's office has done their own projections for their year-end payroll, that they will not use their entire annual order for 2020, and nor would they meet this annual order. But the office has, again, a law enforcement component that is demanded, I guess, in this community, but it does come with a financial obligation that the fiscal court budget has to match for all of the associated payroll personnel benefits. So just want to keep that in mind.
Sheriff, do you want to comment on that?
No, I appreciate it, but I'm good.
Squire Sebastian?
Thank you, Judge. Madam Treasurer, just having heard what you have said, is there a recommendation then that you should make, that you could make to the fiscal court for what we should target for this annual order, if there's an imbalance between perhaps your numbers and that of the sheriff?
The fiscal court would, I believe, be appropriate to set that policy, and has set that policy and by practice over the years in setting the order for the sheriff's office. We've not had an in-depth discussion about it, but again, this office is reporting on a quarterly basis. and is managing their office in a very responsible manner and professionalism for its law enforcement officers. If the court was going to consider anything, they would have considered whether or not to have a countywide police force versus putting law enforcement in the sheriff's office. But we are moving with the practice of having that law enforcement capability with the sheriff's office, and they are handling it for the community in a responsible manner.
Well stated. Thank you. And thank you, Sheriff. Sheriff, as you looked at your annual order, your annual order, do you see that you didn't spend all of it? And if so, how much are you anticipating not spending from what you was budgeted?
In 2020, we did not spend it all, but you got to take into account there was 3 or 4 people laid off for most of the year because of COVID. So that's money we didn't spend. So we weren't actually fully staffed. But as far as the built-in for the 21, we did our budget. Our record speaks for itself. I think it's a fair ask to add in your grants and COVID money and then a 2% raise.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. Do you anticipate in 2021 a full staff again, hopefully at some point in time?
We hope so. We'll see. Whoever thought it would last this long? Nobody knows when it'll actually end, but hopefully we'll be fully staffed and things will get a little more normal, but we'll see what happens.
Sure. Okay.
But again, if we don't bring in this money, it really doesn't matter, because whatever budget we set, we can't spend it unless we bring the money in fees and commissions. So it doesn't bother me that, Susan thinks there's fluff built in, because it really doesn't matter. If the money doesn't come in, we're not going to spend it.
Very good. Squire Booth.
Patrol situation. How many people are on parole? How many hours a day are they on parole? And do you have the county divided into patrol areas? Can you elaborate?
Squire Booth, you said parole, but do you mean patrol?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm
All
sorry.
right. Please forgive me on that.
That's okay. We just wanted to make
Patrol.
sure we were on the same page.
I understand. I thought I understood that's what you meant, Squire Booth. But yes, we have a minimum of 2 deputies out 24/7. We like to have 3 to 4 out during the day and on second shift, but we won't run with less than 2, because you have to have somebody back each other up. And also, if you get a transport to Eastern State or something, somebody has to leave. And then the city has been really good about backing us up. We have a really good relationship with them, but we do police the county, and we do split it up in east and west. There's no way to break it up any further than that. If you have 2 to 4 people out, there's no way to break the county up other than east and west. So that's how we do it. But we answer around 30,000 calls a year, and it's 24/7. I mean, there's always 2 people out. And
Okay. Are they in 2 people in 1 car, or did they?
No, we have separate vehicles. The only time you'll see 2 people is if someone's either a ride along for training, or they're in the field training program. Once they graduate the academy, they come back and ride for 13 more weeks or more if needed before they're actually on their own.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Good question. Okay, Sheriff, let's move to the next item. And this is, we're so appreciative of how you've handled the state advancement program. This is approved your participation in the state advancement program for calendar year 2021.
Yes, this is a really good program. It allows us to have money throughout the year, and we try to make our payroll payments up through May, and then we pick back up right now and pay the rest of it off. So, we don't leave $200,000 or $300,000 in our bank account. If we can pay a month invoice from Susan on our payroll, we pay it. But what happens in January, we'll have $0 in the bank to pay any bills that we have. So they'll give us a $60,000 payment up until October, and then the last payment's $40,000, which is a total of $400,000. So it allows us basically a 0% loan until the tax commissions come in November, and then we can make the payment back, the 400,000 to the state. So it's a really good thing, and it keeps some of the payroll burden off the county throughout the year as well.
Yes.
Susan, do you want to comment on that?
I'll just, I'm very pleased that Sheriff Quire is participating in the state advancement program, just another demonstration of his financial and fiscal responsibility.
Good. Anybody have any questions of Sheriff on this item? You okay, Squire Booth?
No.
Get you some water. Get you some water if you need it. Okay, let's go to the next item. Item number 9, authorization to award a bid to Digital Alley Incorporated of Lenexa, Kansas for 15 in-car video cameras systems for the sheriff's office. You want to talk about that, Sheriff?
Yes, first I have to thank Robert for helping with the bid. I'm not done a lot of bids, and he was very helpful, and I knew with his experience with bidding things out, we wouldn't have any problems. So I asked him to help us, and he came up. He actually helped write the bid, and then when we did the bid opening, he came up and made sure we filled out the bid sheets and kept us in line. So thank you to Robert for that. We only had one bidder, which was the Digital Alley, which happens to be the same vendor we use for our body cams, which we're all familiar with, and we've been 100% satisfied with the cameras and thankful that we have them.
So is it because they Digital Alley, you have the body cams that the others will work together?
Yes, they will sync with the dash cameras. They also have said they're going to come in and upgrade all the body cameras for free as a courtesy when they install the dash cams in the vehicles. They're going to give us all new body cams because there's been a couple new models. They're kind of like cell phones. They're always something else is coming out. So we'll actually get them replaced. When we get the cameras in the cars, we'll get all new body cams. And then if you read the contract, at 30 months, they give you the newest version of the body camera again. So that's really good to keep up with the technology. This is basically a 5-year deal. You get new body cams now, in 30 months, you get the newest version, and it's free batteries and free storage for the next 5 years. That's included in the I think it's $149 or $50,000, whatever the total bid was.
Okay. Squire Sebastian?
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Sheriff, I appreciate you looking at this option, as well as being able to link the 2 units. So my question really has to do with the linking of the unit. So it sounds like the storage for all this footage is going to be in the cloud-based. So do we know how long this footage has to be retained if it is not a matter that is caught up in the legal system?
There's been some change in the retention schedule in the Library of Archives recently, as with our body cams. Whatever the retention is, we usually do it twice as long to be safe. So if it's 30 days, we like to keep it 60. I mean, if you have the storage like our mega server for our body cams, we would rather have it than purge it. If you find out you had a traffic violation and had a felony a month from now and you'd already purged it, you'd be wishing you had that footage. So we're going to keep it double or more, whatever the retention is, just so we always have it.
Okay. And the cost for that cloud storage, is that included in this, or is that additional, like above a certain amount that's used? A lot of times there's a fluctuation in a contract for that.
There is a threshold, and we will not meet that threshold, but if we were to, it was very costly. I mean, very cheap. I forget the price, but I don't think we're ever going to have to explore that, but I can get the information for you.
Oh, that's fantastic. I like hearing the storage is cheap, because usually it's not. The other question I have, and the final one on this, but I have a couple of others, is the lifespan of this equipment. Just like you had indicated already, the company is graciously going to upgrade the body cams, because just like a cell phone, these things go, new advancements are made, every few months. So what are we looking at, do we think, with the lifespan of this equipment?
The dash cams will probably last 5 years, to be honest. Once this is up, we'll probably have to revisit it. And the reason is you take any video camera and put it out in the heat and the cold. I mean, when these cars are turned off, they're just sitting in the sun baking, so they're not going to last forever. The goal is to replace the cars with the cameras. If you had a decent fleet, as you buy new cars, you put new cameras in them, and then the vehicle and the cameras will last you around 5 years.
That helps. While I have the floor to ask a question, I think you and Deputy DeBoard did a presentation on maybe WKYT about drug seizures and what people should look for. Is there anything that you could tell those who are watching today a little bit about that?
Yes, in our PowerPoint, we built in some things that we'd like to share. So we'll probably, if you don't mind, we'll get to the drug part a little bit later. I know that
That's perfect. I just want to make sure that you all really have the opportunity to talk to our community about it, because some may have missed that presentation on the news.
yes, ma'am. And while we're on that subject, I'm proud that we executed 56 search warrants this year, even during the pandemic. A lot of work. You don't just go get a search warrant in 5 minutes. It takes a lot of investigations to get there. We still did that many during the pandemic, and you'll see our numbers in the PowerPoint. But I just want folks to know we're aware of the drug problems, and we're working day and night to help, put those in jail and help those people that want help.
Fantastic. Can I ask one more question in regard to speeding? I know I have communicated with you about some concerns that folks in my area of the county, specifically the Bentwoods neighborhood, that has a lot of long streets and thoroughfares there with limited stop signs. But there are other neighborhoods across the county. So I just wanted to ask a couple of questions about that, about have you all seen speeding numbers go up, or any information you can share with us about that?
Yes.
And thank you.
Yes, I believe in the PowerPoint, you'll see that we've written over 2,500 citations, and 2,000 of those are speeding. So, the number one complaint we receive is speeders in this office, and the number two complaint is drug-related offenses. So speeders are an issue, and that's why I brought up the speed tables. I'm not sure that's ever going to be a thing, but it was just an idea. When I was in Lexington, I seen those nice signs with the speedometer that said your speed, and then I seen those speed tables. Because, when you sit there in a marked car, people slow down, but as soon as you leave, they go back to driving like they did. It's not hard to see a deputy sitting on, a long street in the neighborhood. As soon as we're out of there, people's driving habits often go back.
Good point, Sheriff. You're exactly right. And as Squire Sebastian said, all of us get calls about speeders in neighborhoods, and we're very cognizant of it. And you have done everything you can to, every time we've called, you've been out there, and we appreciate your deputies doing what they need to do to help us. But we had a meeting the other day from our road department, and we talked about some possible speed bumps in areas, and so we're still looking into that as a possibility. Squire Muller.
Thank you, Judge. Sheriff, thanks again. Sheriff, I had a question. So this is going to be, 147,000, I believe, over the 5 years. Do you know what the percentage rate is for making payments over 5 years compared to if it was paid for in full?
I was told it would be 0% interest is the reason that it didn't bother me. But we have to tell them, like right now, that's going to be set up on a 5-year payment. If you take the 147, divide it, we built in 30,000. We were hoping later on, if we do get some asset forfeiture money, we could pay off the debt, but we never know when that's going to drop. It takes a long time to get an order to disperse the money. So we'll see what happens. Again, I just wanted to make sure we could get the cameras sooner than later. I would love to come to the fiscal court and get the money and pay the debt off, but I just knew that was risk, and I may not get them. And to me, in my position, and from what I'm hearing from the public, I don't have a choice. I mean, they want us to have cameras in our vehicles and body cameras, and this protects us all.
No, and I would agree with that. And our county attorney, excuse me, would probably agree with that also. But yeah, 0% financing, you can't pass up using free money. So thank you.
Counselor Sparks, you want to comment?
Judge, I can't say enough about the proposal to get cams in. I'm glad the sheriff took it upon himself to get the body cams. We had vehicle cams in cars back in the day, and for whatever reason, they were removed. It's high time we get it back. It solves a bunch of stuff. We had cases as recently as this week where one of the deputies definitely would have benefited from being able to record a body cam footage, and involved, and I'm not making this up, 20 pounds of methamphetamine seized in our county. I may not have heard of that. But good job, Sheriff. Good job, Deputy Ray. But that case would have been, and others like it, would be most helpful to have cams, especially coordinated cams. It's one of those things that's not even subject to discussion. It's 2021 coming up. We ought to have cams, period.
Okay, thank you. Sheriff, you have a video you want to show?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's see it. Thank you.
The PowerPoint, right, Judge?
Yeah, it's a PowerPoint, not a video. Yeah.
I apologize.
I'm going to put Lucas on because he sounds so much better when he's presenting these things than I do. And he also made the PowerPoint.
Welcome, Lucas.
Good morning, y'all. How's everybody doing?
We're good.
Good. Andrew, you can just go ahead and flip to let's go to the third slide. We'll just start with tax revenue.
Okay.
So I think the sheriff spoke to this pretty quickly in his opening statement. We're already at 89% of tax bills collected on the year, which is quite a bit better than last year. We were at 85.63%, would have been last year's number. And as of now, up-to-date number on unpaid bills is 3,020. When I first made this PowerPoint, it was 3,322. So quite a bit more has been collected since then. And the total dollar number of tax bills collected is just over 36 million right now. So you can go to the next slide, Andrew.
Andrew, next slide. I guess you're in charge.
Yeah, I don't know if I can Andrew, can I
Yeah,
change?
do you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about improvements, talking about the maintenance garage and its exterior secure evidence room. So, I mean, the sheriff mentioned why it's important to have that evidence room out there. One thing that we didn't mention is, and it's pretty important and needed, is water and sewer lines eventually need to be put in there. And basically just for safety more than anything, we need an eye wash station out there for when people are messing with evidence that has like gasoline, or even like when the maintenance guys are doing things with oil and whatnot. So whenever we get around to it, we need to look at seeing how we can get water and sewer lines added in there. And the sheriff has told me that he would build the bathroom and supply the eye wash station and all that once the water and sewer lines are in. Just something we need to come back on and talk about later, maybe. Next slide, please. And this is just a picture of in case nobody's seen it, that's a picture of the maintenance garage that the sheriff has had constructed. And then I know it's really boring, but that's the door to the evidence that has all the gasoline evidence and things, but it's a secure area. So you just get a picture of the door. Next slide, please. So I don't know if any of y'all toured the basement when Sheriff Quire first took over. These are pictures from the 19th of January of 19 when the sheriff took over, how our records were maintained, how our uniforms and other items were maintained. And if you go to the next slide, you can see now that records, that's just the one side of the records room. It's now in boxes, on shelves, labeled properly, so you see exactly what it is. And also the other space you saw in the basement down there has been converted into a CID office. Animal Control has their own office now, and then a supply room for the captain of the patrol. Whereas before, as you saw, like uniforms and things were just kind of thrown about, but now there's actually an organized supply room for that. You can go to the next slide. So the current climate in law enforcement, everybody knows what's going on in the country with law enforcement and our interactions with society. So Sheriff Choir got together with Chief Adams down at the PD, and they decided that, you know, we need to be ahead of the game and get some training for all of us. So they collaborated and had every officer and every deputy was required to attend de-escalation training by a professional company that's all they do is de-escalation and dealing with society. So we all went to Capitol Plaza Hotel in September and conducted that training, which was very beneficial and really did learn quite a bit there. And then, as you can see, you know, he's instituted body camera policy and has required body cameras for all deputies. That's something he said he would do in his initial campaign for his first term, and he's completed it. So we wear those every day when we can. And next slide, please. So this is just talking about dash cams. We've talked about that ad nauseum, so we don't need to probably go into that. But the last piece there, there's another piece of equipment that the sheriff's looking at. It's called a burner. And if you go to the next slide now, you can see that it looks like a pistol. It shoots a projectile, which is propelled by CO2, basically like a pepper ball. And they're good up to 60 feet, whereas like tasers only go up to 25 feet. But we've all seen problems with tasers and how tasers can not be effective, or people complaining about taser usage when, you know, something else could have been used otherwise. But this is a better option for things when people are further away. So if someone's 60 feet away and they're threatening you, you can shoot them with this. Whereas if someone's less than 20 feet away threatening you, say a knife, you have to resort to lethal. So this is a less lethal option for further distance. And it's just something he's looking into. We just wanted to share it with the court and to show them that we're looking at other options to use less lethal because of the current climate and the thoughts going around that law enforcement is trigger happy. You go next slide. So this is what we were talking about with narcotics activity. You can see our drug cases have come up substantially in the last year. We have 142 total cases. Drug-related arrests are up. Trafficking cases are up. And then the most probably disturbing number is the drug cases involving firearms are up. We're up to 54 cases now of the 142 where there was a firearm involved. And you can see that the value of street drugs the past 2 years has been quite good because of a couple busts. I believe Councilor Sparks spoke to the 20 pounds of, it's a little over 20 pounds of methamphetamine that was seized from an out-of-state dealer on the interstate driving through our county on December 7th. Deputy Ray conducted that stop and seized those drugs. And now we are dealing with another agency at the federal level to help us with that case. You can go to the next slide, please. So we've had over $400,000 of drug value taken off the street this year alone. And I've already spoken about those things. You can go to the next slide. So this is a big, important thing for everyone to pay attention to. Everybody knows what Xanax is. Xanax is a benzo, basically depressant that helps you escape reality. However, there is now, these have been out since early in the year. It is fentanyl pressed into a Xanax tablet. In our county alone, in the past 2 months, we've had 4 deaths of overdoses from these tablets and dozens of overdoses. So not only is this an issue with people dying and people getting sick and overdosing, but it's also a financial burden. Every time there's an overdose, you have deputies, fire department, EMS running out there. So it's not only the burden of losing life and that, but it's also a financial burden upon society in general. And the reason this is happening is because it's so much cheaper to buy this fentanyl from China and press it into a Xanax tablet and sell it as Xanax, because Xanax is expensive to actually go get it as a prescription and then sell it. So they're pressing them into these Xanax bars, tricking people into thinking it is Xanax when it's actually fentanyl and it's killing them. You can go to the next slide. So 2020, the pandemic also has brought a lot of challenges to everyone, and we're not excluded from that. Burglaries and thefts have increased so much because we have so many people not working, out and about, doing things. We've already increased, as you can see, our burglaries are 60 in 2020. We only had 41 in 2019. And then theft is up slightly also as well. I mean, there's so many like garden tools, power tools, all those kinds of things have been recovered, thousands and thousands of dollars. We busted a theft ring that had over $50,000 in, as you can see in that picture there, brand new items that they were stealing from either homeowners, waiting for people to go to their cars after buying things in Lowe's and then watching them return because they forgot something and then taking the stuff, just all kinds of things. You can go to the next slide. Now, collisions are down, which makes sense because due to the pandemic, we've had less people on the roadway for several months this year. So collisions in Franklin County were down about 22%. We actually worked 0 fatalities for the first time in, I think, 7 years. The first time the sheriff's office hasn't worked a fatality. Now, there have been fatalities in the county. Most of them have been in the city, and there was one on the interstate, which KSP worked. So there have been fatalities, but none that the sheriff's office has had to work. Next slide, please. Everybody knows about our specialized traffic unit. This year, citations issued by this traffic unit are 2,748, and that goes from everything from speeding to DUIs to, you know, reckless driving, etc. But it just shows that the traffic unit is out there and is doing a lot, and I'm sure that Councilor Sparks is well aware of all the work that they're doing in his court. Next slide. And then this is the annual order. We've already spoken about the annual order, and the next slide is the lump sum budget. But that's it for this report card, just to talk to you guys about, let you know where we're at, what we're doing, how your law enforcement dollars are being spent out here in your county.
Okay, any questions? First of all, let me say this, Lucas, Sheriff, great video. Thank you for all that you're doing. It obviously you're making a difference, and we see that it continues on, but you as well continue on. So God bless you for that. Squire Booth, you're next.
I wonder, what is the policy for taking the drugs that you find, illegal drugs? What is the policy for getting rid of them? Where do they go? How do you take care of that?
So depending on what the drug is and depending on how much there is, 90% of our drugs are disposed of through an incinerator, either at KSP or now even at the jail. They have an incinerator which we can use for certain things, but there's a lot of things we can't do that with, so we have to send them off. We'll send them to KSP's lab, they'll destroy them. The DEA will take some and destroy them. If they're pills during the drug take back, if we have an order that releases those drugs, we can put them in the drug take back when they destroy all drugs at that point as well. So there's multiple avenues we use to get rid of the illegal substances we see.
But they are destroyed.
Absolutely, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Good question, Squire. Squire Tracy.
Thank you, Judge. Lucas, quick question. You mentioned lack of water in the facility. I guess my question would be, what are we waiting on? Have you all put in the proper request, or where's that at?
I think the sheriff could probably answer that better than I. I'll flip the camera over there.
I've spoke to Robert a few times. I think the judge may have asked him to get bids when he gets time to get water and sewer to the building. It's stubbed out when we built it, so the water line and the sewer lines are coming out of the building. They just need to be hooked up to the sewer tap and the water main. And once that happens, we can go in there like we built these other rooms for the basement. We'll build a bathroom, and the main thing is an eye washing station. We really, you know, any garage that you have, you need water in case you need to get something out of your eyes and to wash your hands. So once we get those hooked up to the source, we'll finish inside.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we're getting. I asked Robert to get bids on it, and you got to remember, at one time up until July, we were very tight on our budget, and now because of CARES money, we're a little bit better, but so we were kind of holding our strings as tightly as we could. So And I'm sure you appreciate that since you all adopted the budget. But Robert's looking at it. We'll get it done when we can. Squire Moore?
Just wondering, could that sewer be tapped into the existing building or the water? So we don't have to have a new meter and new sewer tap?
I'll let Robert answer that. Robert, are you on the line?
Yes, sir. Our current schematic design shows the water line tying into the existing water line just before the vault. However, I believe the sewer for the main building, I think it may go out the front. I'm not 100% sure, but the sewer main is on the sheriff's office side or the storage building side of the road. I don't have the design pulled up, but we would just tap the main there. The issue, as you recall, Squire Moore, is it's solid rock up there. I've already talked to John Mitchell. His participation, I believe, will be to cut the driveway to the rear parking lot, and then we will get a contractor with a rock saw, I believe, to excavate for both the water line and the sewer line. We will have to hire a licensed plumber for that final sewer connection. Otherwise, the county engineer and I will be having conversation with the plant board and sewer department next week, just to make sure that our layout still meets their requirements. So hopefully we're only paying one tap fee, and that'd be with the city, and hopefully they'll be gracious enough to work with us on that.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on that? All right. Once again, Sheriff, thank you for your PowerPoint. Thank you, Lucas, for your presentation. Great job, and continue your work. And you've done a fantastic job of keeping our community safe. Thank you. God bless you, and be safe. All your.
One more thing, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Don't forget, everybody, we have our community event on Saturday. For those of you that's going to ring the bell, I know there's firefighters and city police and county fire and a lot of elected officials coming out to do the Salvation Army this Saturday at Walmart and Kroger. So I'm sure you got your emails yesterday, but just a reminder, thank you all for signing up, and I look forward to seeing you on Saturday.
I'll be there. Thank you. I hope other magistrates are going to be there as well. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the next item, I believe he's on. I thought I saw him earlier, Richard Sanford, Constable Richard Sanford. Are you on? Hey, there he is. Hey, Richard.
How you doing?
Hadn't seen you in a while. Don't see you at 2nd Street that much anymore, unfortunately.
Not with school being the way it is.
Yeah, miss seeing you down there. This item is an authorization to approve emergency equipment for Constable Sanford. Anybody have any questions for Constable Sanford? Squire Muller.
Thank you, Judge. So just to make sure, this is just authorization for him to continue to use his lights and things like that, correct?
Richard, you want to?
That's correct.
Okay. No, I'm good. And I also want to say, Richard, I appreciate everything you do. From the first time I met you in the Sheriff's Academy, you were helping the Sheriff's Department out during some training, and you help the kids, and you're very active in our community. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all allowing me to do it.
Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. Constable Stanford, just want to thank you because you do a tremendous job in our community, and you turn out at a lot of community events to help continue to make them safe for people to attend and to exit and people to pass them by. So greatly appreciate that. I noticed that you had included a figure of about some ride along and training hours. Do you do those things every year to stay current, the ride along and the training hours, or is this like a cumulative total that you've presented to us just over a period of time? And thank you again.
You're welcome. As far as the training time, I think it's in there at 280 hours. That was the first year. I attend any training that I'm allowed to attend. The sheriff's been really good. The city police is always inviting me to different trainings, and I train on different things throughout every year. And it's in my reports. Typically, it's in the report as to what training I attend. And as far as ride-alongs, no, I'm out with them and I work hand in hand with them, but I don't ride along with them in their car, no.
Constable Sanford, you are the only constable that I know of that gets this type of training, and it's because you do so much in the community. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, we see you out doing lots of things and all over the community, and we appreciate your help in keeping people safe. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
If there are no other questions, let's move on. I'm sorry, Squire Tracy, go ahead.
Thanks, Judge. Richard, I want to thank you for the stripe kit. It looks great on your car. And I also want to thank you for your willingness to help the court out during events and help out the community when needed. Thank you for everything.
You're welcome. And I apologize for taking so long to get it put on the car.
Looks great, man. Looks great.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no other questions. Thank you, Richard. Be safe. God bless. The next item is authorization to approve the resolution authorizing the donation to the Resource Office of Social Ministries to be used by Franklin County residents in need of financial assistance with rent, medicine, and other necessary living expenses due to COVID-19. We discussed this at the beginning of the agenda. Are there any questions or concerns about this set of monies for Roslyn? Okay, seeing none, let's move to the next one. The next one is authorization to approve a resolution authorizing a donation to the Capital City Activity Center to be used for the nutritional food program, which provides meals to senior citizens residing in Franklin County. This also was presented at the beginning of the agenda, discussed by Marshall Jenkins, and we're so appreciative of Cindy Owens with Roslyn and Marshall with the Senior Citizen Center and the great work that they do in helping people in our community. Seeing no questions, I'll move to the next item. The next item is authorization to add a street light to the county multiplier by the Frankfort Plant Board at the intersection of the Evergreen Road and US 127 South. Mr. Hewitt, you want to discuss that? And thank you, Mr. Hewitt, for looking at this. When you were talked to about this, you got right on it and appreciate it.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, Court. This is a very busy intersection on 127 South. And it's very dark at night. This intersection serves many subdivisions and a lot of density in the southwest quadrant of the county for the 1st and 5th magisterial districts. They include Meadowbrook subdivision, Edgewood, Farmgate, Coolbrook, and many more on out towards the west. There is a lighted street name sign that does help identify the intersection, but that's still not enough. So this is still in the Plant Board service territory, and they were able to do their analysis, and we can accommodate a new LED light on the northwest quadrant of that intersection. It will require a little bit taller poles. There were some additional costs related to that, but otherwise they can, pending approval by the court, they can get started as soon as possible, and I recommend approval, and I think it's a great location for one. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. And Mr. Planning Director, I appreciate getting a heads up on this. First time I've gotten one, so I appreciate that very much. And I do want to ask a question about the location of this. So it's going to be on the same side of 127 as the lit street sign. Has there been any discussion, and there may have been, about putting it on the other side? So if you're coming from Lawrenceburg toward Frankfort, you're coming down a sloped area, and sometimes from that direction, the intersection is very difficult to see because a lot of people have speed coming from Lawrenceburg that way into Franklin County. So I just wondered if there was consideration before this was plotted out to locate that light on that side of the road. That's the only question I have. Thank you.
No, ma'am, there was not. The overhead power lines and the transformers that would feed this light are on the west side of the roadway. And that's also what feeds the traffic signals. So that was the logical and the least expensive location for it.
And Robert, these new lights are really bright too.
Yes, sir, and less expensive to operate.
Squire Muller? I'm sorry, Squire Muller.
Thank you, Judge, and thank you, Robert, for being with us this morning. Question: I was going to ask the cost of the financial impact per month, and I noticed you put $362 per month for the LED light. Can you tell us what just a regular light cost per month? Just around, I'm just curious what the savings is since we're going to LEDs now.
I would have to go back and research. Several years ago, the plant board made a policy decision to phase out all the old bulbs and all replacement bulbs or fixtures, and all new lights are now LED. And I think, and I'm just ballparking here, I think it was around $12 a month, 12 to 15 a month, I believe.
I think you're right, $12 to $15 a month on the old lights.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So it was pretty significant when we began to switch over.
There is a cost with the LED, but that cost is going down. So it's a plus. It's a win-win by doing it now. Squire Booth.
Thank you, Judge. The lights that are on the exit ramps from I-64, that's a federal system, right? And there's nothing we can do about that, or do we have any influence, the county?
What is your concerns, Squire? I'm not sure, but you're right. It's state and federal.
Oh, okay, it's state too. Good. Well, they've been going out.
Okay. Okay.
I'm happy to reach out to the maintenance folks and get them to look into that and get it replaced.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. You're welcome.
I'll get in contact with you.
Okay. Any other questions? First of all, let me say this to the court. Thank you. Since I came in several years ago, I have made an issue to put the lit signs up across the community where state roads meet and that the intersections are dark. You all have budgeted every year monies for that. We're always looking for those. So the state has worked with us and allowed us to do that. And so anytime we can get to an intersection, and especially one like Evergreen, that has the amount of traffic on it, and the lit light does well, but it also is extremely dangerous, that intersection, because the lit light doesn't light it up as much as it should be lit up. So thank you, and thank you for your continued support in putting up lit signs all over our community, whatever we can. With that being said, let's go to the next item. This is an authorization to reappoint to the Peaks Mill Water District, Raven Turner, and her term will go through December 31st, 2024. And she has been an outstanding member. We're very, very appreciative of her and her willingness to be reappointed. Squire Sebastian, you've got a question?
Yes, sir. Just a very quick one. Were there any other applicants? Because I know that this reappointment is critical. And last year at this time, we were looking at a variety of issues there. And certainly, I think Ms. Turner's done a fantastic job. I just wanted to know if there were others in that area that are also interested in serving their community. Only that question. It's not about the caliber of the person. It's about the process of how many are interested in serving. Thank you very much.
Got no other applicants. Squire Tracy, would you like to say something about Ms. Turner?
I'll say I can't thank her enough for her willingness to serve and her commitment to the Peaks Mill Water District and the people that depend on the water district. Class act.
Thank you. If there are no other questions, let's move to the next item on the agenda, and that's authorization to approve a reclassification of occupational tax administrator from 3H to 4H. Susan, would you like to clarify for the squires as well as the general public what it means 3H to 4H?
I believe it was the compensation committee, or I'm not sure the name of the committee, met and discussed this issue. This is a corrective action for basically when we initiated the classification code schedule for fiscal court. It was about 3 years ago. It was before this court. We started that process. It was a long process, and put in a framework and a structure for to correspond with grades that were listed in our administrative code. And this particular position wasn't placed because we had someone in the position at the time that I think was outside the pay range, or was already in the pay range. That's what it was already in the pay range of 4H. But anyway, the professional description for the position corresponds with the 4H, and that's what this action should correct today. And also, it comes at a time when the position will be vacant, so it's the perfect time to make that correction, moving into hiring a new individual so they know what their professional pay range is and possibilities for growth in a career position.
The members of the compensation committee voted unanimously in favor of this. Squire Sebastian, Squire Muller, and myself. Squire Muller, you want to say anything?
Yeah, I just want to, just talk for a second about, thank you, Judge. So yes, we did talk about this. One of the concerns I brought up, and I believe Squire Sebastian did also, was the looking at the whole county as a whole. And I know the judge has set up a meeting for the middle of January for us to really look at the whole system that we have in place as far as classifications for every department. My concern was, just doing this one by itself, but I see why, the need is, but I do want to let the rest of the court know that this is going to be a big process, but we are going to hit it head on in the middle of January to start addressing and hopefully come with some resolution as far as to redo it all, basically. And I don't know if Betty's on the line, if she wants to talk about that for a minute or not, but I just wanted to let the rest of the court know, since they're not privileged at being at the meetings, that was just my thoughts.
Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. I'll just have to echo what Squire Muller had shared with the body. We've talked about this since this court sat, about the need to add individual steps in between the grades of these positions in order to offer the opportunity for our talented staff to have the opportunity for advancement. So at first, we members of the court were told that CAECO was undertaking a study, a county salary survey, and that took place, as my understanding, between June and October of 2019. So now that data is available and the committees are in place, I think we have a lot of data that we can look at in order to see what is across the landscape of the Commonwealth, what other counties are doing, and then move forward with that here in our community to offer that advancement. And that's the key thing, is to offer our employees the opportunity for advancement. Thank you.
Betty Jo, do you want to comment on, do you have something you want to say?
Yeah, I will echo what Sherry just said. We've got a lot of work ahead of us. The data did come out from CAECO, so we will be starting to meet hopefully monthly, starting in January. There were some things that I actually worked on with the department heads in October and November and December of last year. So I'll be presenting that to the committee, and looking forward to moving this process further.
Squire Muller.
Thank you, Judge. Hey, Betty Jo, one question. Will the committee have the opportunity, I guess when applicants come in, will the committee have input on, who's hired, or how does that work for this position? And range of, I know that range of pay is quite large. So will we have any input on that before the person is hired?
The process is we'll receive the applications. The committee, myself, Susan Lawrenson, the judge and the deputy judge will go through all the applications. We'll weed out the ones that's not qualified, that doesn't meet the minimum qualifications. And then we will go through the applications and start the interview. It's up to Judge Wells who he decides to be on that interview committee. And then we'll start interviewing as soon as possible. The deadline is December 28th. So hopefully we can have this on the court agenda for January 8th.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Squire Tracy?
Yeah, just one quick question for Betty Jo. Betty Jo, just to make sure the position, the tax administrator position, it meets all the requirements to date to fall under the 4H grade, correct?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And then I guess to go back and touch on a comment to reference the CAECO study. I know you were adamant about waiting on and referencing the CAECO information to be completed. Should be a great tool for the committee to use. Thank you.
Squire Booth?
When you said she was going to present, or Mueller said that they were going to present something, but I don't know what, in January. What were you referring to, Squire Mueller?
Well, I honestly just was thinking, Squire Booth, I don't know if the whole court knows, but our current tax administrator is going to be leaving. So we're in the process of hiring somebody new. So I think what the HR was saying is that hopefully by January 8th, they'll be bringing the applicants to the court to hopefully hire for that position.
All of them?
No, a recommendation.
Oh.
A recommendation to hire.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then what I was talking about, Squire Booth, was we are going to start working on all classifications for the county government for all employees, say fire department, road department, things like that, to make sure that each employee we have is in the right category. Trying to redefine all the categories a little bit more specifically.
I see. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, the next item on the agenda is second reading and approval of amendment number 2 to ordinance number 2, 2020 relating to the budget for fiscal year 2020-2021. Ms. Susan?
Yes, Andrew, you want to bring up the document? Squire Booth had requested that the amendment be visual for the public last meeting. And I didn't have, Andrew, do you have that available?
Yeah, it's going to take me a second to pull it up.
Take you a second. In the meantime, our process is it's an ordinance, so we have a first and second reading. In between those readings, it goes to the State Department for Local Government for review for accuracy and classification of account codes and proof that we actually have the financial means to have the budget changed. And the state signed off on that for format and returned it in the same format that we submitted it. This is very, very, very unusual amendment for fiscal court. I've never done anything like this before, but we've never had a year like we've had like this before. And hopefully it'll just go down in the 100-year or history books and not have to be revisited, but basically it reflects a lot of the pandemic events numerically, but it also reflects something we plan to do and something that is forward thinking and as the energy project and the purchase of a major fire apparatus. So that is something we actually plan to do. So that is a good thing. And Andrew, do you have that document? Squire
Just
Booth,
about
you would,
there.
okay. But in the meantime, as you all know, we operate with a fund structure. So we have different funds, general fund, road fund, federal fund, et cetera. So each one of those funds is a self-balancing set of accounts. So it has the revenues and expenditures for budget purposes have to be equal. And so we go through the process of bringing money into that budget, which is the first step in making that appropriation available within the fiscal year. So we are creating these budget line items or amending these budget line items to make the funds available within the year. And also it's a method of disclosure, an excellent reporting tool for the public and for your financial reporting to document these events, whether or not you spend the money or not. This is, if you're on a cash basis until you spend it, you don't, sometimes you don't even know it's there. So that's not a very good method. So the budgeting tool serves this purpose for reporting and showing that framework within each fund. So that's all the numbers you see there, Squire Booth. Any questions?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is the second reading. Thank you. Thank you, Susan. Seeing no other questions, will you go now, Susan, to the treasurer's report?
Yes, your packet should have included a copy of a revenue and expenditure report at the point in time of what we had booked at that time. There has been quite a bit more activity since I think you received that report. As far as revenues go, the sheriff reported their collections, and you can see on your revenue report that for our real property taxes, we have with the first disbursement from the sheriff's office are at 84% of our budget. In comparison to last year, we have 97% of what we had last year at this point in time for property taxes. So we're on schedule for good payment history for the community for tax collections. That's a good thing. The amendment information and the budget structure will be reflected in your next financial report. It's not on this one until we get approval. I don't generally make those changes. So it's not all of those line items with increases and decreases, et cetera, are not reflected in the current financial report, but they will be on the January 8th report. The federal fund does reflect the payments for the CARES reimbursement program, and we did receive the donation from for the clerk's efforts on that program for election equipment. It's my understanding that election equipment is in and it'll be paid for in today's bills. So that's unless there's any other questions specifically, I don't have any other highlights. Squire Muller.
Thank you, Susan, and thank you for everything you do. Question, and I think I kind of ask you this all the time. I know 2 meetings ago, you were very confident about where the county was with monies during this kind of trying times. How are you feeling? Are you still as confident today as we have been, a month or 2 ago?
Again, first of all, before this pandemic, I've always been very cautionary about and actually have been a proponent that we need a new funding mechanism for county governments in general, but in Franklin County specifically to maintain our level of services. Because we have unique services, exceptionally unique services for Franklin County that we offer through our general tax effort, that being a full county fire department. We are one of the only counties in Kentucky that does that, and it comes at a very high cost. And whether or not that's sustainable, we have managed to sustain it, along with some other exceptional services, county-wide garbage collection with no specific fee or assessment or separate district or anything like that, which other communities do. So, and then of course, as we see today, we have countywide law enforcement that is not going to go away, and is if we could fix everything, it would be lovely, but these problems will seem to be for the long term. But we've never developed a strategy there either to have a source of revenue to fill that growing cost that's not going to go away. So I have been the strategy that I've recommended for fiscal court for some time has been to address revenue and revenue issues, whether that be in the form of some other kind of district or some sort of fee for certain services. So the fact that we've had this horrible health event attack the entire world, and then the kind of response that the federal government has given to for direct monies to go to counties because of our structure here, that we don't have well, that we do have a fire department in this case, has managed to leverage that money from the CARES Act and into the bank for county government. With so it's we have very fortunately not had the kinds of impact that here that would, as far as the county infrastructure goes, namely the jail, knock on wood, that would have had a huge, possibly a huge bill associated with intervening, with a big health impact. So that money still stays in the bank, and we've been able to go through our social agencies to reach out to the individuals that are hurting and use their framework for finding the need and targeting monies back to those individuals that have specific financial needs as a result of the emergency. So we're very fortunate to be able to have the ability to do that with the funds that the state has flowed through to the county on the behalf of our citizens and in our own infrastructure. But once again, we have unmet infrastructure requirements that we need to address with we're on a path for a strategy. And I agree with you, Squire Moeller. I'm doing things transactionally and piecemeal is not a really great, that's not a strategy. But sometimes you have to do it in an emergency and in an urgent situation. But to hold off, for all or nothing at all is not really not a good practice either. So, well, we've had to pause our infrastructure strategy for a new facility for being able to service our road department and the actions there, and that is of the utmost importance and has been a long time coming and still needs to happen. So we still have that obligation. We already have commitments for the Humane Society that that we have to meet, and that we're going to be structured in one way or the other. So we are better positioned now with the cash situation. But again, it's because we haven't done some things. Our inaction, speaks as loudly as our action oftentimes. So this is really an area of somewhat of well, it's just a pause and a big, big problem all the way around with the pandemic, but it's a financial anomaly that we're still dealing with. So.
No, and I appreciate that, but going to the fire and the recycle and the sheriff's department, I mean, we've been doing that for years. I guess what I was getting at was just money's coming in. It seemed like, a couple months ago that you felt confident that we were kind of doing a whole lot better than, we thought we were going to be doing, especially because of the pandemic. So I guess that was kind of just what my kind of question was. But no, I agree with you. I mean, we need to figure it out. We need to figure other sources of revenue. But I was just more curious how we were looking just comparatively, overall.
Yes, sir.
Let me say this. I don't want it to be misconstrued. Squire Muller, thank you for your comment. And yes, fiscal court is keeping its head above water. But we have many people in this community that are hurting desperately, and businesses as well. So as we go through this, we may be keeping our head above water, but we're also looking out. And I appreciate you all in agreeing to give monies to help those that are in need, because our unemployment rates are down a little bit, but we still have a lot of people unemployed. We have businesses that are hurting. And more importantly, we have huge amount of people, as you heard today, say that they are going hungry, as well as are needing help to stay in their homes. So you all have been most gracious in your trying to help. And so we will continue to do that, even as we tread water. We will do everything we can to help those that are in need. Thank you. Susan, we have payment of claims, or Tambra. Are there any questions about any of the bills? Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. There's one segment in there on page 1 for COVID supplies for right around $2,000 for budget analytics software. And it indicates that this is a 10% down payment. Can somebody enlighten us a little bit about that? It's 01-5135-420.
Yes, Squire Sebastian. This is Susan. We are purchasing an enhanced software product that will integrate directly with our existing finance software that will enable us to accommodate the remote meeting process that we are following during the emergency. This will allow us to have an automated workflow and a uniform format for budgeting across county government that can be managed electronically. And the fiscal court will have access to all of this information themselves if they have the proper software on their computer. So this is an expansion that will also offer analytics, and that, it's my understanding, we'll use our own data in real time as well as our historic information. So will be particularly helpful as, again, we try to analyze from quarter to quarter as opposed to from year to year. So I'm very hopeful that this will pan out to be what it claims to be. I've talked to another jurisdiction that uses this software currently and used it for the first time last year in their budgeting process, and they loved it. They said it was very easy for the departments to learn and use. So I'm excited that we'll have the same success, and in particular that it'll really help us preserve the way we collaborate and the judge's budget process, and improve the tracking of that collaborative effort with documented notes and progressions of our iterations in the budget process. So that's what it is.
So do we have the software now? I just noticed this was a down payment.
This is the we're the initial license part of the agreement to get the implementation started.
Okay.
Oh,
So
what
the
is
over,
the name of the software? Excuse me.
Hold on,
sir.
Squire Booth. Squire Sebastian's still talking, asking questions.
I just had another one about this, and then I'll have more in this tab. Is this a $20,000 expenditure, I assume, that we'll need for this software? And then will it include, do you know at this point, like, does that include maintenance, or do we have maintenance fees on top of that? Or are we purchasing the software, or is this like an annual subscription fee that we'll have to pay? So there are several questions in there kind of rolled into.
Right.
that.
We are purchasing, I mean, I don't know if I get all the terminology right, but yes, we're purchasing a software license, a supplemental software license. There's a large part of the cost associated with the implementation, but as far as ongoing, this ties into our existing software, so it will impact our existing software support agreement. So our existing software support agreement, I think annually is around $10,000. So it will increase that by, I think, another 2,500. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but after this one-time cost, then yes, we will have an ongoing support fee for the software, which basically provides all the updates and, glitch monitoring, blah, blah.
Does that mean that we have to update and or upgrade the existing financial package software that we have now in order for the two to interface and work together?
No, they are the same company, the same product, and our existing agreement with the ongoing fees include all updates and upgrades. So, and Squire Booth, it's called Software Solutions.
Okay. Other questions?
Judge, can I continue on if that's okay? On the road department page, there is a 0261054445. Since they're an office, I noticed that there's a PO box charge. Is there a reason we have that? Do they need it for like screenings or tests that need to come to some location outside of a fiscal office? I'm just asking for that reason because I just didn't understand the PO box.
Do you want me to address it, or do you want to?
Yeah, go ahead.
So several of our departments have post office boxes so that they're able to get their mail timely. Our messenger will pick them up. For the jail has its own post office box, occupational tax, the road, front of the court. It just makes it easier for delivery.
So easier for the messenger to pick it up from the post office. That's what you're meaning, and distribute it. Okay.
Yes, our facilities are locked, so the post office is not able to get into those facilities to deliver mail.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
One more. I do have one more about the.
No.
I just have one more about the garage door repair at the fire station. Was it the opener, or was there a problem with the unit itself, or a problem with the door?
Squire Sebastian, is Chief Brewer. The one at Station 7, there was a spring that actually broke on one of our garage doors. And then at Station 5, they had an issue with a roller that they had to have repaired.
That didn't cause us any problems immediately getting our apparatus in and out, did it?
No, it did not. One of the doors was still functioning. The other one was one of the brush truck doors, so it wasn't the door for one of the fire engines.
That was my reason for asking. Just wanted to make sure how timely this could be repaired so that our apparatus was ready to roll at a moment's notice. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Okay. Seeing none, let's go to other business. Is there any other business that we need to discuss before we get to constitutional officers or department reports? Squire Muller? Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Can't hear you, Squire.
All right, you got me now?
Got you now.
All righty, thank you. Yeah, that button's a little tricky. So I'd like to just talk about our park meeting for a minute that we had yesterday. It kind of rolls into other business. We discussed multiple items such as, dealing with COVID issues and location of the pump stations. That's going to be going from Silver Lake under the road over onto the golf course area. But more importantly, the park meeting kind of got me thinking about our park, in a whole. Over the last 2 years since, I've been in office, the park committee and the fiscal court have been committed to doing events and utilizing the park and, ways to benefit our community. But I do not believe I'm alone when I say that our park is not living up to its full potential. I think we can do better. So at this point, I would like to make a motion that we use $60,000 from the voting machine budget line item, since the clerk was fortunate enough to get a grant and pay for the item, so it's not needed there anymore. I'd like to do an RFP for a feasibility / master plan study of Lakeview Park. If we want to see Frankfurt grow and prosper, we need to invest in our amenities. So I just wanted to bring that up to the court and see if anybody had interest in doing that with me. Thank you.
Well, first of all, procedurally, we have to talk about that and bring it up into the voting meeting. So there's not a motion yet. You can say that you can ask that we consider or add to the agenda, right, Tamber, and to do a master plan for the park.
So I would do that in the voting meeting, sir?
No, what we're going to do right now is there a consensus for the board to do a first of all, we'll have to bid to go through a process of finding a company to do a master plan for Lakeview Park.
Correct.
You're asking for that, and I'm looking for, I see there, Squire Tracy. Squire Tracy, you for it? Squire Blackburn, you for it?
Absolutely, Judge, I am. I couldn't agree more. I think the park committee and other members of this court have been adamant about utilizing the park as much as possible. I think a study of this magnitude is exciting and definitely a step in the right direction.
Okay, Squire Booth, and so it looks like we've got a consensus of the court. So Tamber, would you add that to the agenda as part of the agenda? And that's where we'll go. That's the process, Squire Muller.
Okay, thank you, Judge. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Okay, I just want to get the verbiage correct. So we will have two motions. One will be authorization to amend the agenda to add an RFP. And that's just a real bland description. Then the next motion will be authorization to advertise for an RFP for, and how do you want to word it?
Master plan review of Lakeview Park. Is that fair enough? Is that the verbiage you want to hear, guys?
Yeah. Feasibility study / master plan. That's fine.
Okay. You got that, Tamber? Mm-hmm. Squire Sebastian?
Thank you. Just to follow up to that, Judge, and I would agree with the comments that Squire Muller and Squire Tracy made about the desire of members of this court to fully utilize Lakeview Park and realize its fullest potential. My question is there an existing master plan for Lakeview Park? Since I've been on the court, I've not heard about that. And if there is one, can that be shared with the members of the body?
Mr. Hewitt, you showed them the existing master plan yesterday. You want to, would you make sure that would you comment on that and then make sure that the court sees that existing master plan?
So does our park director not have it?
Yeah, but
okay.
Robert showed it to the court yesterday. So yeah.
Judge Wells, Wells, has it been updated yet? And if not, would it just be easier to have it updated and sent to us individually? I think it would probably be easier that way if it's updated. I know yesterday there were some things that needed to be updated. Instead of going through the whole process we went through yesterday about Robert having to tell us that this is here, I've got to do this. I'm just trying to help out Robert.
Charlie Lewis, you want to speak to that?
I do. I will get with Robert and we will update the plan and email it individually to all court members.
Thanks, Charlie.
Okay, all right. Squire Sebastian.
Great. Thank you, Judge. I have a question in regard to the supplemental bills. In the supplemental bills that were available to us online, there was an expenditure in on the first page, 01-5005-398. There was a little north of $1,000 that was spent on the TIF attorney. So is there any information anybody can give us about what's going on with the
You were
TIF
supposed to
process?
get that. You were supposed to get that. I signed it and I said, make sure that the court got his bill, what he requested. I don't know what happened to that.
Oh, okay. I apologize. I will get a copy out right away.
Yeah.
All right,
Tamara will get it to you.
fantastic. Thank you, sir. I have a couple other questions in other business. We're still there. If the fire chief is available to talk to us a little bit about the new fire truck, if we've been able to have it out on any runs or anything like that.
Chief Brewer, I think you're on. I'm not sure that Chief Hutcherson's on. Chief Brewer?
Yes, thank you, Judge. Actually, we are still outfitting the truck. There's still a few more things. We have one more training that we have set up that's still supposed to take place next week, just to make sure that everybody's properly trained on the apparatus before it goes into service. And we anticipate going into service right around the first of the year.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And it will be located in Industrial Park, correct?
That is correct.
And the one that's currently in the ladder truck in Industrial Park will rotate to the station at the top of Riverbend Hill?
That is the plan as of now, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Judge, I have a question for our maintenance director. If he could give us a little update on the progress of the energy project.
I'm going to let Robert, because Robert's been meeting with them, and Jeremy. Robert, would you mind talking about that? Because I think you had a meeting with them yesterday or the day before.
Yes, thank you, Judge. Had a progress meeting with the energy company ESG earlier this week. That was specific to scheduling and pay applications and the like. As a result of that meeting, we have decided on a standard monthly meeting schedule of the third Thursday. At that time, we will there will be an update of the progress, as well as a presentation of the pay application that would be reviewed by the committee and then subsequently sent to the fiscal court for consideration for payment. The first project that would get underway will be the roof at the jail. I currently have IT out there this morning. They should be on site right now, looking at consolidating some of the wires and roof penetrations on there before they do the tear off, so that there are no new penetrations after the new roof goes on. I'm also currently working with the company on establishing some staging areas and parking for work on the downtown buildings. So that's the update so far. The contract has been fully executed and provided to the county attorney and the fiscal court clerk.
And I'll add an addendum to that. I've instructed Jeremy Colston to get a list of items together that were not included in the energy program, but were necessary as part of the energy commitment to get done, i.e. Heaters in the fire stations and in other units in other buildings. So I've asked him to get that together so we can get a cost estimate and get that process moving as soon as we can. Squire Tracy, your hand was up before Squire Sebastian, if you don't mind.
Thank you, Judge. I'd just like to go back to the park study. And I'm not sure if I need to make this request in the form of a motion or not. But with the feasibility study, I'd like to see if we can form a working group or committee that would consist of the 3 park committee members, both school superintendents, KSU athletic director and or representative, and our county park director. The purpose of this group would be to help assist the selected firm in regards to the needs that could potentially help the county attract local, regional, state, and or national arts and or sporting events. And I don't know if I need to make that in the form of a motion or if that's something we do. I know Tambra had mentioned yesterday something about, doing, instead of it being quote unquote called a committee, it could be called something else. I'm just asking you, Judge.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, but I would add the city of Frankfort too, because I think the last thing we want to do is duplicate and have the city. We need to know what the city's plans are, and then how our plans will coordinate and work together with them. So if you're going to add KSU and the schools, I think we also need to add the city as part of that as well.
Well, I think with the city, they're doing their own. So
that's exactly right. That's why we need to know what they're doing.
Wouldn't the firm, couldn't they reach out to the city? I'm not necessarily worried about the city being on this committee.
If you're going to draw people into a committee or a what do you call it, Tampa? Not a panel, then if you're going to have KSU and the schools, you might as well bring the city in too.
Judge, if you're okay with the committee that I read and you want to add the city park director on it, if that's what you want, I'm perfectly fine with that. Okay. So do I need to make that in the form of a motion?
Well, you can't yet.
Okay, I got you. Yes, sir.
Right, Tambra? Is that as part of that motion? You can add that as part of the motion for the feasibility study.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. I just wanted to also, as the planning director was speaking just a little bit earlier, touch base to see if he had made any progress in contacting the landowners that have contiguous property to the road department, and just see what the update is on that.
Okay. Mr. Hewitt.
Thank you, Judge. Contact had previously been made with those property owners, and the county was proceeding with obtaining appraisals for both properties. I did contact the appraiser after the last fiscal court meeting and ask him to reinitiate his work. Appraisals and many real estate transactions were ceased during the initial stages of the pandemic. So Bird Whistle is currently working on those appraisals and will get those back to me as soon as he's completed them.
Okay. Any other constitutional officers? Because other businesses kind of blended in with the department reports, committee updates, and all of that too. Constitutional officers. Anything you all want to say? Squire Muller?
Yeah, I'm kind of jumping back to other business. I guess in an email form, we got some information that a board appointment was made by you. So I guess I'm trying to figure out if any other people had applied for that board appointment.
Yes, one did, but it was too late.
Okay, so I guess I'm just confused why, you used your emergency powers to appoint somebody to a board, whereas we have a board appointment on our agenda to vote on today. I just would like some clarifications of how that works.
I'd be happy to clarify. First of all, I didn't use emergency powers. They're executive powers, and that is the way it's written, that appointment is my appointment and not approval by the court. So that's why I did that. And we actually did that on another one too. So is that right, Tambra?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. I just wanted to follow up on what Squire Muller had said. I recall last year in our court packet, and I pulled it out just to be sure, in our March packet, a board appointment to this board came before the fiscal court. So it just appears the process has changed, and that may have caught others off guard. It caught me off guard that way as well. So that's the only reason I share it, just from a process protocol standpoint, since the court had seen the other one. Thank
Process
you.
protocol, there was a clarification that that those appointments are by the mayor, exclusively by the mayor, and exclusively by the judge. Is that not correct, Amber?
That is correct.
Okay.
But you could still, if you wanted to bring the nomination, which I believe you wanted to last time before then for vote, you can. But it is your sole appointment.
Okay. Squire Blackburn.
Yeah. So how many boards do we have set up that have your sole discretion? And that include the
I believe that's the only one.
So this is the only one. I know when it was first set up under Executive Judge Bob Arnold, that the chairperson for that board would rotate between the city and county yearly, and also that the chairperson could only hold the chair, well, I guess 1 year at a time. So I know the bylaws have been changed. I guess I can assume safely that you know, the reason it was set up the way it was to rotate was to help maintain a conspicuous level of accountability. I feel like the bylaws have changed within that group, that board, to where everything that was set up to keep those levels of accountability high have been diminished. So I just, how would we go about, is there an ordinance? Is there some way to get it to where the people of this community have more of a say through their constitutionally elected officials in whole to help guide these decisions? Because I'd like to pursue that.
I'm not sure what you're talking about. Are you saying that you don't think the board is functional? And you want?
No, I didn't say that. I just said that every single board we have, but this one, has input from the public through their elected representatives. This one is solely you and the mayor. And I feel like the public really would like more say in it than they have at this point.
Well, Mr. Sparks, can you elaborate on the way this is set up?
And Judge, I apologize. Which board are we talking about? I was stepped away.
KCDC.
That was in the original creating ordinance. You'd have to go back and undo and redo. I don't know the rationale, and apologies. I don't know the rationale or the reasons why KCDC, et cetera, was set up in the manner it did, but it was set up that way. You'd have to amend the ordinances. Both parties would. It's a city and county created body. So I can't go back and speak what Judge Arnold was doing or didn't do, you know, ancient history wise, but right now you've got one appointment and mayor's got one appointment. And then there are various appointments also from different commercial bodies, etc.
Okay.
So all I can say is that's the way it was created.
Okay. Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. When I had asked that protocol question before, you said that someone had drawn that to your attention about the making the individual appointment yourself. Can you elaborate on that just to help us understand that just a little bit?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Our clerk, Tamara Harrod, said that brought that the way the ordinance is written is that it is not approved by the court. It is so I asked her to check with Mr. Sparks, and he reiterated that that is the way it's written.
We have an opinion dated January 5th, 2018 from the county attorney spelling this out when there were some other questions about the board. And I'd be more than happy to forward that opinion on if you all would like. Okay.
We read the ordinance, Squire.
Yes, please.
No, I said we read the ordinance. That was the deal. He screwed up. He didn't have to bring it to court to begin with. So when we realized and we read it over, it's an actual appointment by ordinance, not the other way around. I'm sorry.
Sure. No, I understand what you're saying, and I read the ordinance, and and I read the statement in there. What I was saying, yes, please, too, was to get our clerk. She had said, I can send this to the court if you would like, and I was saying, yes, please to that. Thank you.
Oh, okay, man. Thank you.
While we have the county attorney on here, I would like to go back to amending our agenda to make sure that I'm clear on what we are doing. Because we're going to amend the agenda to add an RFP for the master plan, and that's one action that has a financial impact. I'm kind of thinking that we need a separate motion to, if we're going to set up or structure a review panel a certain way, and that doesn't have to do with the advertisement of the RFP. So I don't want to jumble two actions together. So if Mr. Sparks wouldn't mind to clarify how to properly do that on our agenda.
This is a regular meeting, if I recall, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
You'd add them separately. Each one of them require a motion to add them under other business.
Okay.
But you can't have two items on the same, you can't have two issues on the same motion. There'll have to be a motion to amend and then a motion to item one and then item two.
Okay. And would it be premature to set these panel members up at this time before we reach out to them to make sure that they want to be a part of it? I'm sure they probably would, but is that something we want to make sure that we don't leave anyone out, maybe discuss in a park committee meeting and then form the panel at that time?
Madam Clerk, I couldn't speak to the propriety of it. That would be up to the court on whether to do it. I was only speaking to the mechanism on how to amend into it.
I apologize. My question was to the court. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
So what do you ask?
I guess, Tamara, I'm okay with what Squire Tracy and Judge Wells said, as far as the makeup of the committee or whatever you want to call it. I mean, I think that would be probably,
Does that need to be as part of a motion? Can't that just happen?
Right. I don't know that.
Why would we need that part of the motion? Why wouldn't we just set up the committee that way? Squire Tracy?
That's what I was asking you all. That's what I said. I didn't know if I need to make it in the form.
I don't think you need to make it as part of the motion. Well, there's no problem with getting as many people involved as we can.
Okay.
And that's why we should do it. So let's just do it.
So we'll just have one action item.
Yeah, to get that going, and as that gets going, we'll set up that committee.
Okay.
And Deputy Harrod, if you don't mind, can you please make sure to note that in the minutes as well, as far as the individuals that were requested?
The minutes only reflect actions taken.
Yeah.
Okay, so that won't, okay, all right.
Would you write down what was said, not as part of the minutes, but just for reference?
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, and
Thank you.
give me the list again. So
The 3 park committee members, both school superintendents and or representative, the KSU athletic director or representative, and the county park director and city park director.
okay.
And I'm going to add Ann Northcutt for grants and Robert Hewitt for any other issues coming from utilities or whatever. So
Yes.
I'm going to add that as well.
And maybe said at the next park committee meeting, make a line item on there so it reflects in the minutes of the park committee.
Yeah, you could do that
these
through
members.
the park
Right.
committee.
Right, and this is just to assist. It's not vote. The 3 voting members would stay the same.
Sure.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, and
Thank you, Judge.
I apologize. I have one more procedural question. In amending the agenda, Counselor Sparks, would that need to be after we come out of closed session, or can I amend the agenda and add it prior to going into closed session?
The agenda, as I read it, if you follow the tabs, other business would be after payment of claims, and that would be where the amendment would come into. Formal action, and I'm referring to item 22, 21 and 22, so that you can do that as to item 20, just as you go down the agenda.
Okay.
But that's where
I'm sorry.
that's where it would fall in, ma'am.
Okay. Just want to double check, and I will need just a few minutes to prepare a new voting agenda.
Okay. Are there any other reports? Department, constitutional or committee? Squire Tracy.
Hey, Judge, just quick question. Is Jailer Bond on by chance?
Jake, are you on? I don't, he must be off. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we're going to take, looks like we're going to hit the 4-hour mark again on meetings. And so we're going to take a 5-minute recess break at this point in time. It's 5 to 12. We will come back at 12 o'clock. 5 minutes, everybody, 5 minutes recess break. Welcome, everybody. This is the Franklin County Fiscal Court voting session for December the 18th, 2020. Let's call the meeting to order. Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Here.
Squire Blackburn.
Present.
Squire Muller.
Present.
Squire Tracy.
Here.
Squire Booth.
Here.
Squire Moore.
Counted for.
Judge Wells.
Here. At this moment, we're going to have a very special group, the Girl Scout Troop number 2082. And I believe their names are Mia, Zoe, and Sophia are going to lead us in the pledge. And this is from the request that we had at our last meeting. And congratulations, Girl Scout Troop 2082. You are the first. So Andrew, if you would get the video ready, let's all stand for the pledge. And please mute your mics. And Andrew, we're ready.
Hi, I'm Sophia. Hi, I'm Zoe. I'm Mia. And we're Troop 2082. And we're here to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you. Girl Scout Troop 2082, Mia, Zoe, and Sophia. Thank you so much. That was great. And Andrew tells me that we have at least 10 more that have already sent in their video to do it. That is awesome.
I have a question about that. Why didn't Thin Mint show up?
Who?
Thin Mint. They had cookies on there.
Oh, okay. Well, that's because I like the peanut butter one, so whatever. Yeah, all right. So Andrew, can you hear me and can you speak?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I want you to tell people again how to get a hold of you and how to send a video. Please do that while we're on live.
Yes, you can submit a video. We ask that you do just like the Girl Scout troop did. Introduce yourself, say your first name, where you're from or what group you're with, and then recite the pledge just like they did, and then you can submit it to our website at franklincounty.ky.gov. If you scroll down past the news feed, there is a link and has a picture. It says submit the pledge videos here, and you click on that link and it'll take you to a place where you can submit those videos into a Dropbox where I will get them. If you have any questions or concerns or need assistance or for whatever reason, they can reach out to me at andrew.tippett, Tippett, at franklincounty.ky.gov or at our office 502-875-8751. This is all on our Facebook page and our website too, all the instructions, and so they can look there to get some tips and things like that.
All right, thank you, Andrew. First item on the agenda is authorization for approval of minutes from our regular meeting of December 3rd, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian,
Yes.
Squire Blackburn,
Yes.
Squire Muller,
Yes.
Squire Tracy,
Yes.
Squire Booth,
Squire Booth?
Yes.
thank you. Squire Moore,
Yes.
Judge Wells,
Yes. Next item is authorization to approve a budget amendment to the county clerk's lump sum fee officials budget for calendar year 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Put it in the kitchen.
was that Squire Moore that made the second?
Squire Moore seconded it. Discussion, call the roll.
Squire Sebastian,
Yes.
Squire Blackburn,
I just want to thank Mr. Hancock for all he's done in a trying year. He's done an exceptional job, and to amend the budget to bring in bringing in more revenue is always a great thing, and I vote yes.
Squire Muller,
Yes.
Squire Tracy,
Yes.
Squire Booth,
Yes.
Squire Moore,
Yes.
Judge Wells,
Yes, and to piggyback on Squire Blackburn, he more than doubled what he estimated the excess fees were going to be as part of his budget, and that's a reflection on two things. One, that his office is doing a fantastic job, and two, we are slowly recovering in our community from this horrible pandemic, and it is good news to know and to see the evidence of a slow recovery, or at least some type of recovery. So that is good news there. The next item is authorization to approve the county clerk's lump sum fee officials budget for the new year 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll.
I'm sorry, I was writing down, Squire Booth made the motion and I missed who made the second.
Squire Tracy?
Everyone is sounding alike this morning, so I apologize. Okay. Squire Sebastian,
Yes.
Squire Blackburn,
Yes.
Squire Muller,
Yes.
Squire Tracy,
Yes.
Squire Booth,
Yes.
Squire Moore,
Yes.
Judge Wells,
Yes. Next item is authorization to approve the county clerk's annual order setting maximum amount for deputies and assistants for the calendar year 2021.
So moved. So I don't sound like Squire Booth. That's
Squire Moore making motion, Squire Muller second.
okay, thank you.
I'll help you as much as I can.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Masculine voice, evidently.
Discussion? Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian,
Should I change my voice? Yes.
I already got yours. Squire Blackburn,
Yes.
Squire Muller,
Yes.
Squire Tracy,
Yes.
Squire Booth,
Yes.
Squire Moore,
Yes.
Judge Wells,
Yes. The next item is authorization to approve the sheriff's lump sum fee officials budget for the calendar year 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Squire Tracy.
Okay.
And you got Squire Blackburn as the motion.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Discussion? Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian,
Yes.
Squire Blackburn,
Yes.
Squire Muller,
Yes.
Squire Tracy,
Yes.
Squire Booth,
Yes.
Squire Moore,
Yes.
Judge Wells,
Yes. The next item is authorization to approve the sheriff's annual order setting maximum amount for deputies and assistants for the calendar year 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Squire Muller and Squire Booth.
Okay.
Discussion? Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian,
Yes.
Squire Blackburn,
Yes.
Squire Muller,
Yes.
Squire Tracy,
Yes.
Squire Booth,
Yes.
Squire Moore,
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes. The next item is authorization to approve the sheriff's participation in the state advancement program for the calendar year 2021. And
So
that's,
moved.
thank you. That's Squire Tracy. And who's the second?
Sebastian. I believe.
Squire Sebastian. Thank you. Go ahead.
Squire Sebastian,
Yes.
Squire Blackburn,
Yes.
Squire Muller,
I'd like to echo what Madam Treasurer said, and I appreciate the sheriff being fiscally responsible and taking advantage of a program like this because it does help the fiscal court out. I'm a yes.
Squire Tracy,
Yes.
Squire Booth,
Yes.
Squire Moore,
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes, and so let me do briefly explain what this program does. Is it allows the sheriff up to $400,000 to give to the fiscal court because the fiscal court covers his salary. The sheriff's starts the beginning of, he has money at this point in time, which comes from the taxes. And starting the 1st of January 2021, he has no money. And so at that point in time, other than monies from the fiscal court and his budget. So we upfront him money. And as part of that upfront, he can get money at no interest over the year, up to $400,000. And he does that monthly, gives us $60,000 a month, and that covers his partial covering of his salary, which helps our budget process out. And the sheriff has been so willing and amenable to do this to help us, and it helps him too. So thanks, Sheriff. I vote yes. And the next item is authorization to award a bid to the sole bidder, Digital Alley Incorporated in Lenexa, Kansas, for 15 in-car video camera systems for the sheriff's office in the amount of $146,960 over a 5-year period. Is that correct? Over a 5-year period?
I believe that's what he said.
Yeah, okay.
So moved.
Moved by Squire Sebastian,
Second.
seconded by Squire Muller. Discussion? Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian,
Yes.
Squire Blackburn,
Yes.
Squire Muller,
Yes.
Squire Tracy,
Yes.
Squire Booth,
Yes.
Squire Moore,
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes. The next item is authorization to approve emergency equipment. Emergency equipment for Constable Richard Sandiford for the calendar year 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Squire Booth is with the second. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian,
Yes.
Squire Blackburn,
I just want to say that Constable Sanford does an amazing job. I think he greatly improves the safety of our community, and I vote yes.
Squire Muller,
Ditto to what Squire Blackburn said, yes.
okay. Squire Tracy,
Yes.
Squire Booth,
Yes.
Squire Moore,
My constable is definitely the best. I vote yes.
Judge Wells.
Happens to be in your district, huh, Squire Moore? Yes. The next item is authorization to approve a resolution authorizing a donation in the amount of $50,000 to the Resource Office of Social Ministry, otherwise known as ROSM, to be used for Franklin County residents in the need of financial assistance with rent, medicine, and other necessary living expenses due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
So moved.
Moved.
Moved by Squire Sebastian, seconded by Squire Booth. Discussion? Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian,
Yes, I'd like to explain my vote. I am the court's appointed representative to ROSM, and we've discussed the tremendous need over the last several meetings So with that, and I think we've all seen that with our own eyes. So certainly I am a yes for that.
Squire Blackburn.
Rosam has done a tremendous job for years and years, and they continue to do so. And they do it with caring, and I'm a resounding yes.
Squire Muller.
Yes.
Squire Tracy.
Yes.
Squire Booth.
Well, I was the former court-appointed representative and talked Sherry into it. And I vote yes.
Squire Moore.
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes, and I want anybody that's listening to know that you may apply for these monies if you need. You can apply through your church or other churches, and the list of those churches that are available to take your application are on our Facebook page and our website. You may look that up. And if you go to a church and they are not participating with Rosam and would like to, then if you can contact us, we'll get you in contact with Rosam so your church can be a part of that if they so want to be. But this will be coming through churches first, and then Rosam will contact you, and then at that point they will guide you through every process for you to get this money. And this is, and I say to the court, if this money goes fast, and I probably see that it will, then we will look at other avenues and anything else that we need to help the members in our community to keep their heads above water, as I used an analogy I used earlier. Okay, I vote yes. The next item is a similar type resolution. This resolution is authorizing a donation in the amount of $25,000 to the Capital City Activity Center to be used for the nutritional food program, which provides meals to senior citizens residing in Franklin County.
So moved. Right, second.
Moved by Squire Muller and seconded by Squire Sebastian. Okay. All right. I wanted to make sure. I thought that's what it was. Okay. Any questions? Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian.
I'd like to explain this vote, and in the interest of transparency, I am an active board member for the Capital City Activity Center. I have reached out to Councilor Sparks to make sure that there would be, whether I should abstain or whether I could vote on this matter. And he said, because there's no personal benefit to me, that I can proceed to vote. I do know firsthand from working there to prepare commodity food boxes, etc., and seeing the center, they put out 1,250 meals a week that are home delivered and or picked up. And this donation will help them provide shelf stable meals so that have 2 meals each day. And right now, no one should go hungry in our community. So I'm happy to be part of this effort to give them more money to do that. So with that, I vote yes.
Squire Blackburn.
Thank you, ma'am.
Resounding yes.
Squire Muller.
Yes.
Squire Tracy.
Yes.
Squire Booth.
Yes, and I, as a senior citizen, I have not taken advantage of the programs, but I do know I have helped out, volunteered various times. Very, very good organization. Yes.
Squire Moore.
Yes.
Judge Wells.
I vote yes, and I want to say, give a big shout out, thanks to Cindy Owens, who is the head of the, I guess she's a chairperson of the Rosam, and Marshall Jenkins, who is head of the Senior Citizen Center. Both of them are doing an outstanding job in doing everything they can to help as many of those as they can in our community. So thanks to you guys. We appreciate it. And I have voted yes on that one. The next item is authorization to add 1 street light to the county multiplier through the Frankfurt Plant Board at the intersection of Evergreen Road and US Highway 127 South.
So moved.
Second.
Squire Moore.
Squire, seconded by Squire Moore. Discussion, call the roll.
Squire Sebastian,
Yes.
Squire Blackburn,
Yes.
Squire Muller,
Yes.
Squire Tracy,
Yes.
Squire Booth,
Yes.
Squire Moore.
I second that because Evergreen Road does go to the 6th district. Yes.
Yeah, but it
But it's
starts
in
in
the
the first,
fifth.
baby.
No, it starts on the other end.
Judge
Sorry,
Wells.
it starts in the first.
I don't often
Okay.
correct you, Squire Moore, but I want to make this real clear. All roads lead to the 6th district.
That's right. That's right.
All
Oh,
right. All right.
Is that a yes?
Yes, a yes. The next item on the agenda is authorization to approve reappointment of Raven Turner to the Peaksville Water District Board for a term beginning January 1st, 2021 and ending December 31st, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian,
I'm going to explain my vote, and I think it is absolutely amazing and wonderful that there are talented, skilled, and qualified individuals in our community of 50,000 who step up to serve on these boards. This one went through some critical periods last year, and it was fantastic that Raven was part of that. It's fantastic that Raven has stepped up again to serve her neighbors. So with that, I vote yes.
Squire Blackburn,
Yes.
Squire Muller,
I also would like to thank Raven and everyone else who represents the fiscal court on the board appointments. So yes.
Squire Tracy,
Yes, I can't thank her enough, again, for her willingness to serve and the commitment to the Peaks Mill Water District and the ones that depend on it for clean, safe drinking water. So yes.
Squire Booth,
Yes.
Squire Moore,
Yes.
Judge Wells.
I absolutely vote yes. And you all of you have said that we've gone through some tough times, and we have. And so Mr. Thompson is on that board, and Raven's on that board, and the constant on that board. And this is why it's important to keep people on a board that know how the board operates. Mr. Quarles has come through. He's chaired that board for several terms now, and several years. And Mr. Quarles was the constant as board members changed. And I can't say enough about his leadership as well. Ravens was excellent, absolutely. Mr. Thompson's is great as well. But Mr. Quarles, through thick and thin, has been there. And so thanks to him as well. And all the board members, you've made water better in the Peaksville District. Thank you for doing that. Yes. The next item is the authorization to approve a reclassification of occupational tax administrator from 3H to 4H. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Squire Muller. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Squire Sebastian. Thank you. In discussion, call the roll.
Squire Sebastian,
Yes.
Squire Blackburn,
Yes.
Squire Muller,
Yes.
Squire Tracy,
Yes.
Squire Booth,
Yes.
Squire Moore,
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes. The next item is a second reading and approval of amendment to number 2 to ordinance number 2, 2020, relating to the budget for the fiscal year 2020-21.
So move.
Who? Squire
Moore.
Muller?
Moore.
Squire Moore, sorry. Second by Squire Muller. Discussion? Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian,
Yes.
Squire Blackburn,
Yes.
Squire Muller,
Yes.
Squire Tracy,
Yes.
Squire Booth,
Yes.
Squire Moore,
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes. The next item is authorization to receive the treasurer's report.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian,
Yes.
Squire Blackburn,
Yes.
Squire Muller,
Yes.
Squire Tracy,
Yes.
Squire Booth,
Yes.
Squire Moore,
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes. The next item is payment of claims. Is there a motion to deny any claims? If not, let the record reflect bills or to be ordered to be paid. Are there any motion to deny any of the claims? Seeing none, the bill, let the record reflect. Bills are to be paid. The next item is authorization to amend the agenda to add an RFP in other business.
So move.
Second.
Squire Tracy and then Squire Muller.
Got it.
Okay. Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian,
Yes.
Squire Blackburn,
Yes.
Squire Muller,
Yes.
Squire Tracy,
Yes.
Squire Booth,
No.
Squire Moore,
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes. The next item is authorization to advertise for an RFP for feasibility study master plan for Lakeview Park.
So move.
Second.
Squire Tracy, motion, Muller, second. Is that right? Okay. Any questions? Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian,
Yes.
Squire Blackburn,
Yes.
Squire Muller,
Can I ask a question real quick? Is there a dollar amount? Does it have to be a dollar amount on there? Or is that something different?
No, because the RFP is for a proposal. So when we decide who's going to do it, then that we will approve the dollar amount at that
Okay.
time.
I just want to make sure that, okay, yes,
right. The only cost you'll have right now is the cost of the advertisement.
okay.
So I meant Squire Muller. I'm sorry.
What is the vote so far?
So far, yes, by Squire Sebastian and Squire Blackburn.
Okay, Squire Muller, is your vote yes?
Yes, I said yes, yes.
Okay.
Squire Tracy,
Yes.
Squire Booth,
No.
Squire Moore,
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes. The next item is authorization to go into closed session per KRS 61.810, subset 1, subset F, discussions or hearings which might lead to the appointment, discipline, or dismissal of an individual employee, and no action will be taken in this closed session.
So moved.
Squire Sebastian, seconded by Squire Muller. We will come back out of closed session and come back into open session.
Squire Sebastian,
Yes.
Squire Blackburn,
Yes.
Squire Muller,
Yes.
Squire Tracy,
Yes.
Squire Booth,
Yes.
Squire Moore,
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes, I would like for Betty Jo, John Mitchell, and Tambra, obviously Tambra, Counselor Sparks to stay on along with the elected officials. Everybody else will put you in, Andrew, you can put them in the chat room. All right, the next item on the agenda is authorization to hire Larry Hazelwood II as a light equipment operator, truck driver at the road department pending drug screen results.
So moved.
Squire Muller,
Second.
seconded by Squire Blackburn. Discussion? Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian,
Yes.
Squire Blackburn,
Yes.
Squire Muller,
Yes.
Squire Tracy,
Yes.
Squire Booth,
Yes.
Squire Moore,
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes. The next item on the agenda is authorization to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded by
Second.
Squire Blackburn.
Squire Sebastian,
Yes.
Squire Blackburn,
Yes.
Squire Muller,
I would like to tell everybody have a safe and Merry Christmas and be safe out there. Yes.
Squire Tracy,
Yes.
Squire Booth,
I vote yes on this, on adjourning, and I protest the reappointment to the KCDC board of Danny Willis.
Squire Booth, you're out of line. If you don't mind, I prefer you to stay in line in what we're talking about. You had an opportunity to speak and you didn't speak at that time. We'll take
I
your
didn't
point.
have an opportunity to speak at all.
When we discussed this item, there was this discussion and many people got to speak. I don't know why you didn't raise your hand, but you are out of order, out of line at this moment. But we will take your point. It's made. It's made now. Go ahead.
Squire Moore,
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes. But before we go, I want to say this. Everybody needs to be very careful over the Christmas holidays and New Year's. Please wear your mask. And as you meet with your families, and I know that you're going to meet with your families, and it's part of Christmas, the very heart of Christmas. Be very careful, be safe, wear your mask as long as you can, keep your distance as much as you can, and do the things that will keep you safe. We're in very trying times at this moment. Hopefully, vaccines are right around the corner in Franklin County. I know that the health department is being contacted and other agencies are being contacted. And so it's just a matter of time and hopefully short time before vaccines reach our community, and those that need it first will be right in line to get those vaccines. With that being said, everybody be safe and Merry Christmas to everybody. Remember the first part of Christmas is Christ, and Christ is about helping others. So we've got a lot of people in this community that need help. So anything you can do to help those that are in need and make Christmas joyful in that way. Happy New Year's to everybody, and thanks everybody for watching. We are adjourned.